Beloved, hear this truth: you are standing at the threshold of a new reality. The life you have long imagined is no longer a dream, it is becoming tangible. You are entering your millionaire phase. It begins with a thought. Wealth, true wealth, is not found in the accumulation of material things, but in the richness of your imagination. You must see yourself as the architect of your fortune. Picture it now: the home, the freedom, the opportunities. Feel it, not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. Understand this: your external world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. To claim wealth outwardly, you must first embody it inwardly. Close your eyes and feel the joy of financial freedom. Act, speak, and think from the state of abundance, and watch as the world rearranges itself to mirror your belief. Every great accomplishment in the world begins as a seed, and imagination is the fertile soil in which this seed is planted. The power to imagine is not merely an idle pastime, it is the foundational act of creation. To understand the role of imagination in wealth is to recognize that everything you see in the physical world, every skyscraper, invention, and fortune first existed as a vivid image in someone's mind. Imagination is the origin, the blueprint from which the tangible is constructed. Without it, no empire would ever rise, no dream would ever take form. When you close your eyes and allow yourself to dream, you are not engaging in fantasy but in creation. The images you hold in your mind with clarity and conviction are the seeds of your future reality. Imagine wealth now not as a distant possibility, but as a living reality. See yourself surrounded by the life you desire. Feel the texture of success, hear the sounds of abundance, and bask in the emotions of freedom. This act of focused imagination is not a trivial exercise, it is the birthing process of the wealth you seek. Wealth is not something external that you must pursue, it is an inner reality that you must conceive. Many fail to achieve their financial aspirations because they attempt to chase wealth in the outer world without first cultivating it within. They toil and struggle, mistaking effort for progress, but their results remain elusive because their inner picture is incomplete or clouded by doubt. To become wealthy, you must first see yourself as wealthy in the theater of your imagination. This is the key that unlocks all doors. The mind is a magnificent tool, capable of extraordinary feats when directed with intention. However, it cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is experienced in the physical world. This is your advantage. By repeatedly and vividly imagining yourself as wealthy, your mind begins to accept this image as reality. Your thoughts, actions, and even your perception of opportunities align with this internal belief. You no longer act as one striving for wealth, but as one who already possesses it. This alignment is the unseen force that attracts circumstances, people, and resources that bring your vision to life. Doubt often arises in this process, as the current reality may not yet reflect the wealth you desire. But this is where faith plays its role. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up each day to check if it is growing. You water it, nurture it, and trust that it will bloom in its time. Similarly, the seed of wealth you plant in your imagination must be nurtured with unwavering belief. Each time you return to your vision, you strengthen its roots. Each moment of faith adds nourishment to its growth. It is not enough to imagine sporadically or without conviction. The images you create must be vivid, detailed, and emotionally charged. Feel the joy of financial freedom, the gratitude of living without limits, and the confidence of knowing that your needs are always met. These emotions are the waters that nourish the seed of your imagination. The more you feel it, the more real it becomes, until it is impossible for the physical world not to align with your inner state. Imagination is not bound by the limitations of the material world. It does not require resources, connections, or circumstances to begin its work. This is its beauty and its power. Regardless of your current situation, you can close your eyes and enter a world of unlimited wealth and possibility. In doing so, you tap into the infinite creative force that governs all existence. You become a conscious creator, shaping your reality not through force or struggle, but through the effortless power of thought. As you persist in your vision, you will notice subtle changes. Ideas will arise, opportunities will appear, and synchronicities will unfold. These are not coincidences, but the natural outworking of the seed you have planted. The outer world is merely a reflection of the inner, and as your inner picture of wealth becomes more defined, the outer world must conform to it. This is the law of creation, immutable and universal. Never underestimate the simplicity of this process. Many dismiss imagination as idle daydreaming, failing to grasp its profound power. But those who understand its true nature recognize it as the starting point of all transformation. By imagining wealth with clarity, persistence, and faith, you set in motion the forces that bring it into being. You do not need to know how or when it will unfold. Your role is to maintain the vision and trust in its fulfillment. Wealth is not a matter of luck or circumstance, but of consciousness. It is a state of being that begins within and radiates outward. By planting the seed of wealth in your imagination, you take the first and most vital step toward its manifestation. Nurture this seed, and in time you will harvest the abundance that has always been waiting for you to claim it. The key to creating wealth lies in one profound truth: you must first feel wealthy to become wealthy. This principle may seem counterintuitive in a world where we are taught to base our reality on external circumstances. Yet the truth remains that your internal state, how you feel about yourself, and your relationship with abundance dictates the wealth that manifests in your life. Wealth is not something you chase, nor is it something you wait for. It is a feeling, a state of mind that you must assume here and now. To assume the feeling of wealth is to embody it fully in your imagination and emotions. This is not merely about visualizing wealth, but about living as though it is already yours. Close your eyes and see yourself surrounded by the life you desire. Imagine stepping into your dream home, driving the car of your dreams, or experiencing the freedom to travel without concern for cost. More importantly, feel the emotions that such a life would bring: joy, confidence, security, and gratitude. These feelings are the essence of wealth, and by embodying them, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance. The world often tells us to wait for external evidence before we allow ourselves to feel successful or wealthy. We say, "I'll feel secure when I have the money," or "I'll be confident when my bank account reflects my efforts." But this approach is backward. You cannot wait for your outer world to change before shifting your inner state. The outer world is a reflection of your inner state, not the other way around. By assuming the feeling of wealth now, regardless of your current circumstances, you set the stage for wealth to appear in your reality. This process requires imagination and faith. The imagination allows you to see beyond the limitations of your present situation, and faith ensures you persist even when external evidence seems to contradict your inner vision. Doubts may arise, whispering that what you are doing is foolish or unrealistic. But remember, the circumstances you see today are the result of your past thinking and feelings. To create a new reality, you must plant new seeds in the soil of your imagination and nurture them with unwavering belief. Assuming the feeling of wealth does not mean pretending or ignoring your current responsibilities. It means shifting your focus and energy toward the state of being you desire. For instance, if you currently feel constrained by financial stress, do not dwell on those feelings. Instead, gently redirect your focus to the feeling of freedom and abundance. This may take practice, but each time you do it, you strengthen the vibration of wealth within you. The feeling of wealth is more than just happiness or excitement. It is a calm assurance, a sense of gratitude for what you have and what is coming. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that all your needs are met, that opportunities are flowing effortlessly into your life. How would you walk, speak, and carry yourself if you were already wealthy? Begin to adopt these behaviors now, and you will find that the world starts to respond to you differently. One powerful way to embody the feeling of wealth is through gratitude. Even if your current resources feel limited, find things to be grateful for. Gratitude amplifies the energy of abundance. Each time you express gratitude for the wealth you imagine, you reinforce the belief that it is already yours. This belief is magnetic. It draws circumstances, people, and opportunities into your life that align with your feeling of abundance. It is also essential to release the fear of lack. Many people remain stuck in a cycle of financial struggle because their focus is on what they lack rather than what they desire. Fear of lack creates more lack. By assuming the feeling of wealth, you shift your focus from scarcity to abundance. You no longer act out of desperation or fear, but from a place of trust and confidence. Assuming the feeling of wealth may initially feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable if your current reality is far from what you desire. This is natural because you are retraining your mind to think and feel in new ways. Be patient with yourself. Practice daily, immersing yourself in the feelings of abundance and security. Over time, these feelings will become second nature, and your external world will begin to reflect them. Wealth is not just about money, it is a state of being. It is about freedom, joy, and the ability to live life on your terms. By assuming the feeling of wealth, you are not only attracting material abundance, but also aligning yourself with a richer, more fulfilling life. You are stepping into the version of yourself that knows no limits, a self that understands that wealth is your birthright. Trust in the process. Feel wealthy now, even if your physical senses tell you otherwise. Persist in this feeling, and the world will reshape itself to mirror your inner state. This is not wishful thinking, it is a fundamental law of creation. When you feel wealthy, you are wealthy, and everything else will follow. One of the greatest barriers to manifesting wealth, or any desire, is an attachment to how it will unfold. The human mind is deeply conditioned to seek control, to plan every step, and to demand certainty. Yet, the very act of obsessing over the how creates resistance, blocking the natural flow of events that lead to the fulfillment of your desire. To manifest effortlessly, you must learn to release the need to know the exact path and trust that the universe will arrange the perfect sequence of events to bring your vision to life. Detaching from the how does not mean abandoning your goal or becoming passive. Instead, it means relinquishing the need to micromanage the process and focusing instead on maintaining clarity and faith in your desired outcome. When you plant a seed in the ground, you trust that nature will handle the intricate processes needed for its growth. You do not dig up the seed daily to check its progress, nor do you dictate the exact way it should sprout. Similarly, when you plant the seed of your desire in your mind, your role is to nurture it with faith, not force. The need to control often stems from fear and doubt. You may fear that your desire will not materialize unless you intervene or orchestrate every detail. But this approach misunderstands the creative process. The conscious mind is limited in its capacity to predict or control the infinite variables at play in the universe. When you try to dictate the how, you restrict the possibilities to what you can conceive, ignoring the infinite ways the universe can bring your desire into being. By letting go, you open yourself to solutions and opportunities far greater than anything you could imagine. Detachment is an act of trust. It is a declaration of faith in the unseen forces that govern creation. When you release the how, you affirm that you believe in the inevitability of your desire. This faith is magnetic. It draws the right people, circumstances, and events into your life without effort. Your only job is to stay aligned with the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. The rest will take care of itself. Consider this: when you place an order at a restaurant, you do not follow the chef into the kitchen to ensure your meal is prepared correctly. You trust the process and wait in expectation. Detaching from the how in manifestation works the same way. So you place your order by imagining your desire clearly and feeling the joy of its fulfillment. Then, you allow the universe to work behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways you cannot yet perceive. Attachment to the how often creates unnecessary tension and anxiety. You may find yourself overthinking, second-guessing, or feeling discouraged when things do not happen as you expect. This state of stress blocks the very flow of energy needed to manifest your desire. In contrast, detachment brings a sense of ease and freedom. It allows you to live in the present moment, trusting that everything is unfolding perfectly. Detaching from the how also helps you remain open to unexpected opportunities. Sometimes the path to your desire may take forms you did not anticipate. If you are rigidly focused on one specific way for your goal to manifest, you may overlook or even resist these opportunities. Detachment allows you to move with the flow of life, embracing the surprises and serendipities that often lead to greater outcomes than you originally imagined. This does not mean you should avoid action altogether. Inspired action plays a vital role in manifestation. However, this action should come from a place of alignment and intuition, not from a place of desperation or overthinking. When you detach from the how, you act with confidence and joy, trusting that each step you take is part of the larger plan. You do not force outcomes. Instead, you allow them to unfold naturally. To practice detachment, begin by shifting your focus. Instead of obsessing over the process, immerse yourself in the feeling of your desire already realized. Visualize your life as if your dream has come true, and let that feeling guide your thoughts and actions. When doubts or fears arise, remind yourself that the how is not your concern. Trust in the infinite intelligence of the universe to handle the details. Detachment is not about giving up, but about letting go of resistance. It is about releasing the mental struggle and embracing a state of flow. This state of trust and surrender does not diminish your power, it amplifies it. By detaching from the how, you align yourself with the natural laws of creation, allowing your desires to manifest with grace and ease. The how is the domain of the universe. Your role is to dream, believe, and act in alignment with your vision. Let go of the need to control every detail and trust that the path will reveal itself in perfect timing. Detach from the how, and you will discover that the journey is as miraculous as the destination. Persistence in your vision is the cornerstone of creation. The life you desire begins not with action, but with the unwavering ability to hold steadfast to the image of what you wish to manifest, regardless of current circumstances. This is not a passive process, it is a deliberate and continuous practice of aligning your inner world with the reality you wish to experience. To persist in the vision means to remain faithful to it, even when the physical evidence around you suggests otherwise. The journey to manifestation often tests your resolve. Life may present you with challenges, delays, or contradictions that seem to mock your vision. It is during these moments that persistence becomes crucial. The tendency for many is to abandon their vision at the first sign of difficulty, mistaking temporary setbacks for failure. But true manifestation requires an inner commitment that transcends the fleeting appearances of the external world. Your current reality is simply the result of your past thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. It is not permanent, nor does it dictate what is possible. By persisting in the vision, you shift your focus from what is to what will be. This shift in focus is the key to transformation. You cannot create a new reality while remaining anchored to the old one. Instead, you must live in the assumption of your desire already fulfilled, allowing this assumption to guide your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Persistence is not about forcing outcomes or clinging desperately to your vision. It is about faith. It is the quiet, confident knowing that what you have imagined is already yours in the unseen realm and will inevitably materialize in the physical world. This faith acts as a bridge between the invisible and the visible, drawing your desire into tangible form. When you persist in the vision, you align yourself with the frequency of your desired reality, making it impossible for it not to manifest. One of the greatest obstacles to persistence is doubt. Doubt arises when you allow your senses to dominate your perception of what is real. If you look to the external world for validation, you may find yourself questioning the feasibility of your vision. This is why persistence requires discipline. You must train your mind to focus on what you desire, rather than what you fear or lack. Each time doubt creeps in, reaffirm your vision and return to the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Persistence is about unwavering commitment to your dream. It is about holding on to the truth of what you want, no matter how long it takes or how improbable it seems. The universe responds to the energy of certainty. When you persist in your vision with faith and conviction, you send out a clear signal that cannot be ignored. Recognizing your inner millionaire is about understanding that wealth is not just a matter of external circumstances or financial numbers, it's a state of mind, a way of thinking, and a way of being. The true millionaire does not measure their wealth by the amount of money in their bank account, but by the abundance they feel within themselves. This inner wealth is the foundation from which all external wealth springs. Recognizing your inner millionaire means embracing your potential, your worth, and the unshakable belief that you are worthy of limitless abundance. The first step in recognizing your inner millionaire is to change your mindset. Too often, people limit themselves with beliefs rooted in scarcity. They believe wealth is hard to come by, or that it is only for the lucky few. These beliefs act as barriers that keep abundance at bay. But when you recognize that wealth is a reflection of your thoughts and feelings, you realize that the only true limitation lies within your own mind. You have the power to shift your perception of what is possible for you. The millionaire mindset is not focused on lack, struggle, or effort. It is grounded in the understanding that abundance is your natural state. You are deserving of wealth, and wealth is drawn to you as you align with the vibration of abundance. This does not mean you are entitled to instant riches, but rather that your thoughts, emotions, and actions must align with the belief that you are capable of attracting prosperity. Recognizing your inner millionaire is about understanding that you are an active participant in your financial destiny, not a passive observer. A key aspect of recognizing your inner millionaire is developing self-worth. The way you value yourself directly impacts the amount of abundance you allow into your life. If you do not believe you deserve wealth, you will unknowingly block it from flowing toward you. A person who recognizes their worth does not chase after wealth in desperation, but attracts it naturally by embodying the energy of abundance. They act from a place of confidence, knowing that they are worthy of everything they desire. One powerful way to recognize your inner millionaire is through visualization. By consistently picturing yourself as the person you want to become, you begin to reprogram your subconscious mind to accept this new identity. Imagine yourself living in the house of your dreams, driving the car you desire, and experiencing the lifestyle of abundance you long for. Feel the emotions of gratitude, joy, and excitement as if these things are already your reality. The more you visualize your wealthy self, the more your actions, decisions, and thoughts will align with the person you are becoming. Another essential element in recognizing your inner millionaire is gratitude. Millionaires, in both the literal and metaphorical sense, understand that wealth is not just about the destination, it is also about the journey. Gratitude amplifies abundance. By acknowledging and appreciating what you already have, you raise your vibration and open the door for more prosperity to enter your life. Whether it's appreciating the roof over your head, the food you eat, or the small successes you experience daily, gratitude strengthens your connection to the flow of abundance. Recognizing your inner millionaire also requires a shift in how you approach opportunities. Millionaires see opportunities where others see obstacles. They know that each challenge is an opportunity for growth, learning, and expansion. The mindset of abundance embraces risks and welcomes new experiences, because there is a deep understanding that the universe is always conspiring in their favor. When you adopt this mindset, you start to notice opportunities that were always there but previously went unnoticed. The more you recognize the opportunities around you, the more you invite wealth into your life. As you move forward, the recognition of your inner millionaire will also involve stepping into your power and taking inspired action. Wealth is not a passive state. It requires intention, focus, and effort. But this effort is not about struggling or working tirelessly. It's about taking inspired, aligned actions that feel joyful and right for you. When you recognize your inner millionaire, you stop chasing after success and start allowing it to flow toward you naturally. You begin to make decisions that reflect the wealth you are creating within, trusting that your intuition and inner wisdom will guide you to the right opportunities. The most important element in recognizing your inner millionaire is belief. It starts with believing in yourself, in your ability to create wealth, and in your worthiness to receive it. Belief is the fuel that drives your manifestations. Without belief, no amount of action or hard work will bring lasting results. But with belief, your thoughts become powerful and your actions become aligned with your deepest desires. Recognize that your inner millionaire is not defined by the money you have today. It is defined by the person you are becoming, the energy you are radiating, and the abundance you are attracting. Money is simply a reflection of the energy you embody. The more you recognize your inner wealth, the more it will manifest in all areas of your life. You have the power to create the life of your dreams. Recognize that wealth, success, and abundance are already within you, waiting to be realized. By shifting your mindset, embracing gratitude, trusting your intuition, and taking inspired action, you will find that the universe aligns to bring your desires to life. Recognize your inner millionaire, and you will begin to see the world through the eyes of abundance. Gratitude is the most powerful key to unlocking the abundance of life. It is not merely a polite acknowledgement of blessings, but a profound state of alignment with the source of all creation. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is present, from absence to abundance, and in doing so, it opens the floodgates to more of what you desire. When you dwell in the feeling of gratitude, you create a vibrational match to the very things you long to attract. To live in gratitude is to live in a state of constant receiving. Every breath, every moment, and every experience becomes a gift. When you recognize the abundance already present in your life, you activate a magnetic force that draws even more blessings toward you. The universe operates on a principle of reflection. It mirrors back to you the energy you emit. Gratitude, therefore, becomes a signal to the universe that you are ready to receive, that you acknowledge its infinite generosity, and that you trust in the flow of life. Many people make the mistake of waiting for their desires to manifest before they feel grateful. They tie their gratitude to external circumstances, thinking, "I'll be grateful when I get the job, the relationship, or the money." But this conditional gratitude keeps you in a state of waiting, reinforcing the idea that you do not yet have what you want. True gratitude, however, is proactive. It is the recognition of abundance before it materializes. When you express gratitude for something as though it is already yours, you collapse the distance between desire and manifestation. You summon it into your reality by aligning your energy with its presence. Gratitude is a state of allowing. It dissolves resistance and opens you to the flow of abundance. Often, people block their blessings with doubt, fear, or a fixation on how their desires will come to fruition. But gratitude bypasses these limitations. It shifts your focus from the mechanics of manifestation to the joy of receiving. When you are grateful, you trust the process. You no longer need to control every detail, because you know that the universe is working in your favor. Gratitude is the ultimate act of faith. It is not enough to simply say, "I'm grateful." The power of gratitude lies in feeling it deeply and genuinely. Words without emotion lack the vibrational energy needed to attract abundance. Take a moment to truly feel grateful for something in your life. It could be the warmth of the sun on your skin, the support of a loved one, or even the lessons learned through a challenging experience. Notice how this feeling expands your heart and lifts your spirit. That is the energy that draws miracles into your life. Gratitude also shifts your perspective. When you practice gratitude consistently, you begin to see the world differently. Challenges transform into opportunities, and obstacles become stepping stones. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you focus on what you have. And this shift in perspective creates a ripple effect. The more you focus on abundance, the more abundance you attract. Gratitude becomes a lens through which you view life, revealing blessings you might otherwise overlook. One of the most profound aspects of gratitude is its ability to neutralize negative emotions. It is impossible to feel deeply grateful and resentful, fearful, or anxious at the same time. Gratitude raises your vibrational frequency, lifting you out of low energy states and into a place of empowerment. When faced with difficulty, gratitude acts as an anchor, reminding you of the good that still exists in your life and helping you navigate challenges with grace and resilience. Gratitude also fosters a sense of interconnectedness. It reminds you that you are part of a greater whole, supported by forces seen and unseen. Every act of gratitude strengthens your connection to the divine source of all abundance. It is an acknowledgement that you are not alone, that life is always conspiring to bless you, and that you are a co-creator in this miraculous dance of existence. A powerful way to cultivate gratitude is through intentional practices. Begin and end your day by reflecting on what you are grateful for. Write these blessings down, no matter how small they may seem. As you do, notice how your energy shifts. Gratitude practice consistently becomes a habit, and over time, it transforms your life. The more you give thanks, the more reasons you find to be thankful. Gratitude is not just about receiving, it is also about giving. When you express gratitude, you naturally want to give back, whether through acts of kindness, words of appreciation, or simply sharing your joy with others. This giving creates a cycle of abundance that benefits not only you but everyone around you. The more you give, the more you receive, and the flow of blessings becomes endless. Gratitude is the key to unlocking the life you desire. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. By living in a state of gratitude, you align yourself with the infinite abundance of the universe. You become a magnet for blessings, a vessel for miracles, and a beacon of light in the world. Open your heart to gratitude and watch as the floodgates of abundance pour into your life. Everything you seek is already waiting for you. Gratitude is the key to receiving it. Wealth is not just an idea or a distant dream. It is a state of being that requires action. Thoughts and feelings lay the foundation for abundance, but action is the bridge that carries you from intention to manifestation. To step into wealth, you must align your actions with your vision and move forward with faith and determination. Action is the language through which you communicate your readiness to receive what you desire. It is a signal to the universe that you are committed to embodying the wealth you envision. The first step to stepping into wealth with action is clarity. You must be clear about what wealth means to you. For some, it may be financial freedom. For others, it might be a sense of security, opportunities for travel, or the ability to give generously. Whatever wealth represents to you, it must be defined with precision. Without a clear vision, your actions will lack direction, and the energy you invest will dissipate. Clarity allows you to take purposeful steps, ensuring that every effort aligns with your ultimate goal. Once your vision is clear, the next step is to cultivate the mindset of a wealthy person. Wealthy individuals do not wait for external circumstances to change before they act. Instead, they embody the confidence, decisiveness, and resourcefulness that align with their desired reality. When you act as though you are already wealthy, you shift your energy from lack to abundance. This doesn't mean reckless spending or living beyond your means. It means adopting habits and attitudes that reflect your belief in your own prosperity. Taking action requires courage. The path to wealth often involves stepping out of your comfort zone, facing uncertainty, and taking risks. These challenges are not meant to deter you but to refine you. Each step you take, no matter how small, builds momentum. Even if the path is unclear, the act of moving forward opens doors that would have remained invisible if you had stayed still. Remember, action is not about knowing every step in advance. It's about trusting that the next step will reveal itself as you move forward. One of the most important aspects of stepping into wealth with action is consistency. Small, consistent efforts compound over time to create extraordinary results. Wealth is not built overnight, nor is it the result of one grand gesture. It is the outcome of daily actions, decisions, and habits that align with your vision. Whether it's learning a new skill, saving a portion of your income, or networking with others who inspire you, these small steps accumulate and pave the way for abundance. Action also requires intention. It is not enough to be busy. Your efforts must be purposeful. Every action you take should reflect your belief in your ability to create wealth. Whether it's choosing to invest in your personal growth, starting a business, or managing your finances with discipline, your actions should align with your ultimate goal. Intention transforms ordinary tasks into powerful steps toward abundance. It ensures that your energy is focused and that your efforts are meaningful. Another key to stepping into wealth with action is resilience. The journey to abundance is rarely linear. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. These experiences are not signs of failure but opportunities for growth. Wealthy individuals understand that persistence is essential. They do not give up when faced with obstacles. Instead, they learn from them and adapt. Each challenge you overcome strengthens your resolve and brings you closer to your goals. Stepping into wealth also involves collaboration. No one achieves great success in isolation. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your vision. Seek mentors who have walked the path you aspire to follow. Build relationships with individuals who share your values and ambitions. Collaboration amplifies your efforts and opens doors to opportunities you may not have discovered on your own. Gratitude plays a vital role in taking action toward wealth. When you are grateful for what you have, you attract more to be grateful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, creating a sense of abundance that fuels your actions. As you move forward, take time to appreciate each step of the journey. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and trust that every effort brings you closer to your vision. Stepping into wealth with action requires faith. Faith is the belief in what you cannot yet see, the conviction that your efforts will bear fruit even if the results are not immediately visible. Faith allows you to act with confidence, knowing that the universe responds to your energy and intention. When you act with faith, you align with the flow of abundance, and the universe meets you halfway. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you step into. By aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions, you create a harmonious flow that attracts abundance into your life. Each action you take, no matter how small, is a step toward embodying the wealth you desire. Move forward with clarity, intention, and faith, and watch as your actions transform your vision into reality. The journey to wealth begins with a single step. Take it boldly, and the path will unfold before you. Ladies, understand this truth: you are the master sculptor of your own life. A relationship does not define you, it is a reflection of the love you hold for yourself. When you engage with a man, let it be from a place of strength, not lack. Too often, women forget their power and sacrifice their authenticity. Today we will explore the 9 actions a woman must avoid with a man to remain aligned with her higher self. Your self-worth is the foundation upon which your entire life rests. It is not something to be negotiated, diminished, or handed over to anyone, regardless of who they are or the role they play in your life. When a woman compromises her self-worth, she relinquishes a part of her divine essence, that sacred core that defines her as powerful, unique, and whole. To compromise your self-worth for a man, or for anyone, is to deny the truth of who you are, a being of infinite value, deserving of respect, love, and fulfillment. At the heart of self-worth is the understanding that you are inherently valuable, not because of what you do, how you look, or what you can offer to others, but simply because you exist. This value is not bestowed upon you by someone else, it is your birthright. However, in the complexities of relationships, especially with men, it can be easy to forget this truth. Society has long conditioned women to prioritize others over themselves, to seek validation outside of themselves, and to measure their worth based on their ability to please, serve, or conform. But this conditioning is a lie. The moment you place your worth in the hands of someone else, you give them the power to define it, and they will never define it as high as you should. When you compromise your self-worth, you send a silent message to yourself and to others that you are not enough. This might manifest as tolerating disrespect, accepting less than you deserve, or staying in situations that deplete rather than nourish you. Perhaps it is enduring criticism disguised as constructive feedback, or maybe it is settling for a relationship that lacks genuine love, mutual respect, or reciprocity. Each of these actions chips away at your self-esteem, making it harder to remember the truth: you are worthy of everything you desire. The danger of compromising your self-worth is that it often happens gradually. It might start with a small concession, a decision to overlook a red flag, to let a hurtful comment slide, or to accommodate someone else's needs at the expense of your own. Over time, these seemingly insignificant choices accumulate, creating a pattern where your needs and desires are consistently placed second. And what is the result? You begin to feel invisible, unimportant, or even unworthy of love and respect. But none of this is true. These feelings are not a reflection of your actual worth, but rather the consequences of forgetting to honor it. To refuse to compromise your self-worth is to declare to the universe and to yourself that you are enough, just as you are. It is to set boundaries that protect your energy and to demand the respect you inherently deserve. This does not mean arrogance or entitlement, it means self-respect. It means recognizing when someone's actions or words diminish your light and having the courage to walk away if necessary. It means valuing your peace, your happiness, and your authenticity above the approval of others. In relationships, maintaining your self-worth can be especially challenging because love often blurs the lines between compromise and sacrifice. Love, true love, does require compromise, but it should never come at the expense of your dignity or self-respect. Sacrificing your principles, tolerating mistreatment, or silencing your voice for the sake of keeping the peace is not love, it is fear. Fear of losing the relationship, of being alone, or of not being enough. But these fears are illusions, and the price of succumbing to them is far too high. A man who truly values you will never ask you to compromise your self-worth. He will see your strength, your brilliance, and your individuality as assets, not threats. He will uplift you, support you, and respect your boundaries. And if he doesn't, it is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a sign that he is not aligned with your journey. Do not cling to someone who cannot recognize your value. To do so is to betray yourself. Learning to honor your self-worth begins with self-awareness. Pay attention to how you feel in your interactions. Do you feel empowered, respected, and valued? Or do you feel small, unimportant, or diminished? Your emotions are a guide, alerting you to situations that either affirm or negate your worth. Listen to them and act accordingly. Surround yourself with people who uplift and celebrate you, and distance yourself from those who drain your energy or undermine your confidence. Recognizing and maintaining your self-worth also requires letting go of the need for external validation. Too often women seek approval from others to feel valued, but this approval is fleeting and unreliable. True self-worth comes from within. It is a quiet, unshakable confidence that does not waver based on external circumstances. Cultivate this confidence by affirming your value daily. Remind yourself of your strengths, your achievements, and your unique qualities. And most importantly, remind yourself that you are enough always. The journey to honoring your self-worth is not always easy. It may require unlearning years of conditioning, confronting fears, and making difficult decisions. But the reward is freedom, the freedom to live authentically, to love deeply without losing yourself, and to create a life that reflects your highest potential. Do not let anyone, no matter how much you love them, take this freedom away from you. Your self-worth is not just about how you see yourself, it is about how you teach others to see you. By refusing to compromise your self-worth, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated. And when you hold firm to that standard, the right people will rise to meet it. The wrong ones will fall away, but that is their loss, not yours. You were not made to shrink, to settle, or to silence your voice. You were made to shine. Honor that truth, and the world will reflect it back to you. Happiness is an inner state, a reflection of the harmony within your soul. It is not something to be given or taken by another, no matter how close or cherished they may be. To depend solely on a man for your happiness is to relinquish control over your emotional well-being, placing your joy in the hands of someone who cannot bear the weight of such responsibility. True happiness is not found in another person. It is cultivated within you, born from self-awareness, self-love, and a deep connection to your inner being. The idea of seeking happiness through others is rooted in the illusion that we are incomplete on our own. Many women grow up with the belief that a relationship or a partner will complete them, that their lives will only reach fulfillment when they find the right man. While love and companionship can indeed enrich life, they are not the source of true contentment. Happiness derived from external sources is fleeting, for external circumstances are ever-changing. To depend on a man for your joy is to tie your emotional state to something outside your control, leaving you vulnerable to disappointment and heartbreak. When a woman depends solely on a man for happiness, she places an undue burden on him and the relationship. This dependency can create a dynamic where she looks to him for validation, reassurance, and emotional support, often at the expense of her own growth and independence. Over time, this reliance can lead to resentment, both hers for feeling unfulfilled despite his efforts, and his for feeling the pressure to constantly meet her emotional needs. This dynamic is neither healthy nor sustainable, for no one person can be the sole source of another's happiness. Happiness is an internal journey, a process of aligning with your true self. It begins with self-love, the ability to appreciate and value yourself for who you are, independent of anyone else's opinion or presence. When you cultivate self-love, you free yourself from the need for external validation. You no longer look to a man or anyone to fill an emotional void, because you have already filled it with your own light. This does not mean you reject love or relationships. Rather, you approach them from a place of wholeness, where your happiness enhances the connection rather than depending on it. To depend solely on a man for happiness also limits your personal growth. It is easy to lose sight of your passions, interests, and aspirations when your focus is entirely on the relationship. You may begin to mold your life around his needs, desires, and goals, neglecting your own in the process. Over time, this can lead to a sense of emptiness or loss of identity. But you were not created to live in someone else's shadow. You were made to shine in your own right, to pursue your dreams and passions, and to live a life that reflects your unique essence. The key to lasting happiness lies in nurturing your inner world. This involves developing a strong sense of self, embracing your individuality, and finding joy in your own company. Spend time exploring your passions, cultivating your talents, and pursuing the things that bring you fulfillment. When you create a life that is rich and meaningful on your own, you bring a sense of completeness to your relationships. You are no longer looking for someone to make you happy. Instead, you are sharing your happiness with them. This self-reliance does not mean isolating yourself or rejecting support from others. It simply means recognizing that your happiness is your responsibility. It is about understanding that no one else, not even the most loving partner, can fully satisfy your inner needs. Happiness is an inside job, a reflection of the love and peace you cultivate within yourself. When you take ownership of your emotional well-being, you empower yourself to create a life of joy and fulfillment, regardless of your relationship status. In relationships, this self-sufficiency allows you to give and receive love more freely. When your happiness is not dependent on a man, you are free from fear and attachment. You do not cling to the relationship out of a need to feel complete, nor do you place unrealistic expectations on your partner. Instead, you approach the relationship from a place of abundance, where love is a choice, not a necessity. This creates a healthy, balanced dynamic where both partners can thrive as individuals while growing together. When you stop depending on a man for happiness, you also free him to be himself. You release him from the pressure to constantly meet your emotional needs, allowing the relationship to flourish naturally. This space fosters mutual respect, trust, and understanding, as both partners are able to contribute to the relationship without feeling burdened or constrained. It is important to remember that happiness is not a destination but a journey. It is not something you achieve once, and for all it is a practice, a daily commitment to nurture your inner world. This means taking time to care for your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, setting boundaries that honor your needs, and cultivating gratitude for the blessings in your life. When you prioritize your happiness in this way, you create a solid foundation for love to grow. A relationship should complement your happiness, not define it. A man can be a wonderful companion on your journey, but he is not the journey itself. By taking responsibility for your own joy, you reclaim your power and create a life that reflects your highest potential. You were not made to depend on anyone for your happiness. You were made to be the source of your own light, radiating love and fulfillment from within. When you embrace this truth, You open the door to relationships that are not built on dependency, but on mutual respect, love, and shared joy. Disrespect, in any form, is a direct attack on your dignity and worth. It erodes the foundation of trust and harmony in any relationship, leaving behind a residue of hurt, resentment, and insecurity. To tolerate disrespect is to teach others that it is acceptable to disregard your feelings, needs, and boundaries. It is to allow an environment where you are diminished instead of cherished, silenced instead of heard. No matter how strong your feelings for someone may be, disrespect must never be ignored, justified, or accepted. Often starts subtly, disguised as sarcasm, dismissive remarks, or a lack of consideration for your time or emotions. It can be easy to brush these instances aside, convincing yourself they are minor or unintentional. But even the smallest acts of disrespect can grow into patterns that undermine your confidence and sense of self-worth. Each time you tolerate such behavior, you signal that it is permissible, inadvertently inviting more of the same. Over time, this creates a cycle that can be difficult to break, leading to deeper pain and a diminished sense of self. At its core, disrespect is a reflection of a lack of regard for your value as a person. It may manifest as harsh criticism, constant interruptions, ignoring your input, or even outright verbal or emotional abuse. In relationships, it can take the form of dismissing your feelings, belittling your achievements, or prioritizing someone else's needs and desires over yours. These actions, no matter how subtle or overt, chip away at the mutual respect and care that are essential for a healthy connection. Tolerating disrespect often stems from a fear of confrontation or loss. You may tell yourself that the behavior isn't worth addressing, that it will improve on its own, or that challenging it might jeopardize the relationship. However, avoiding the issue only empowers the person to continue their behavior. Confronting disrespect is not about creating conflict, it is about setting boundaries that protect your peace and affirm your worth. When you stand up against disrespect, you reclaim your power and assert your right to be treated with kindness and dignity. One of the reasons people tolerate disrespect is the belief that they can fix the other person, or that the behavior is a temporary flaw. While it's true that everyone has moments of imperfection, consistent disrespect is a sign of deeper issues that cannot be ignored. It is not your responsibility to change someone else's behavior, nor should you bear the emotional burden of their inability to treat you with respect. The only behavior you can control is your own, and that includes deciding what you will and will not accept in your interactions with others. Refusing to tolerate disrespect is an act of self-love and self-preservation. It requires the courage to recognize when someone's actions are harmful and the strength to address it directly. This doesn't mean responding with anger or hostility, it means calmly and firmly communicating your boundaries. For example, if someone speaks to you in a demeaning tone, you might say, "I feel disrespected when you speak to me like that, and I need you to address me with respect." This approach not only asserts your boundaries, but also gives the other person an opportunity to reflect on their behavior and make changes. It is important to acknowledge that not everyone will respond positively to your boundaries. Some may deny their actions, shift blame, or dismiss your concerns. In such cases, you must decide whether the relationship is worth continuing. While it can be difficult to walk away from someone you care about, staying in an environment of persistent disrespect is far more damaging. You deserve relationships that uplift and support you, not ones that leave you feeling unworthy or undervalued. Disrespect is not limited to romantic relationships. It can occur in friendships, family dynamics, or professional settings. Regardless of the context, the principle remains the same: you have the right to be treated with respect, and you have the responsibility to uphold that standard. This might mean distancing yourself from toxic friendships, addressing family members who cross boundaries, or confronting a colleague who undermines your contributions. Each instance of standing up for yourself strengthens your confidence and reinforces your self-worth. It is also crucial to recognize and address any patterns of self-disrespect. Sometimes the way we allow others to treat us is a reflection of how we treat ourselves. If you often put others' needs before your own, tolerate unacceptable behavior, or fail to honor your own boundaries, you may be unintentionally setting the stage for others to do the same. Cultivating self-respect involves treating yourself with kindness, prioritizing your well-being, and refusing to accept less than you deserve. Refusing to tolerate disrespect does not make you difficult, selfish, or unkind. It makes you strong, self-aware, and principled. It sets a standard for how you expect to be treated and teaches others to value your presence. When you hold firm to your boundaries, you create space for healthy, respectful relationships to flourish. You also inspire others to recognize and honor their own worth, creating a ripple effect of empowerment and respect. Life is too short to spend in the company of those who do not see your value. You were not made to endure mistreatment, to shrink in the presence of others, or to silence your voice to keep the peace. You were made to stand tall, to shine brightly, and to demand the respect you deserve. By refusing to tolerate disrespect, you honor yourself and create a life filled with connections that celebrate your worth. You are worthy of love, kindness, and respect. Never settle for less. In any form, is a clear signal that your value is not being acknowledged. It undermines your dignity, diminishes your confidence, and creates an environment that is neither nurturing nor supportive. Tolerating disrespect, whether out of love, fear, or complacency, is an act of self-betrayal. It sends a message to yourself and others that your boundaries are not worth upholding and your worth is negotiable. However, you are deserving of respect simply because you exist, and it is your responsibility to demand it, first from yourself and then from those around you. Disrespect often begins subtly, with a dismissive comment, a broken promise, or a disregard for your feelings. These moments might seem insignificant, easy to overlook or excuse. Perhaps you tell yourself that it was unintentional or that you are overreacting. But disrespect has a cumulative effect. Each small instance erodes your self-esteem and chips away at the foundation of your relationship, whether it is with a partner, a friend, or a family member. What starts as a single act can quickly become a pattern if left unchallenged, and patterns have the power to shape your reality. To tolerate disrespect is to normalize behavior that devalues you. It teaches the other person that their actions have no consequences, encouraging them to continue and possibly escalate their behavior. Worse, it teaches you to doubt your own worth and to silence your voice in the face of mistreatment. You may begin to rationalize their actions, convincing yourself that they didn't mean it or that you deserve it. This self-deception can trap you in a cycle of acceptance, where disrespect becomes the norm rather than the exception. Addressing disrespect requires clarity and courage. First, you must recognize it for what it is: a breach of your boundaries and a denial of your value. This can be difficult, especially if you care deeply about the person involved. Love and loyalty can blind you to behavior that would otherwise be unacceptable, but love cannot exist without respect. Any relationship built on a foundation of disrespect is unstable and ultimately harmful, no matter how strong your feelings may be. Once you have identified disrespect, you must confront it. This is not about anger or retaliation. It is about asserting your boundaries with firmness and dignity. For example, if someone speaks to you in a way that feels belittling or dismissive, you might say, "I find that tone disrespectful, and I expect to be spoken to with respect." Such a statement is clear, direct, and leaves no room for ambiguity. It communicates your boundaries without resorting to hostility, giving the other person an opportunity to reflect and adjust their behavior. Not everyone will respond positively to such boundaries. Some may dismiss your concerns, deny their actions, or even blame you for their behavior. This reaction can be painful, especially if you hope for understanding or change. But their response is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself, to uphold your standards and protect your well-being. If someone refuses to respect you after you have clearly communicated your boundaries, it may be necessary to distance yourself or even end the relationship. Walking away from a relationship, especially one where there is love or history, can feel like a loss. But tolerating disrespect is a greater loss, the loss of your self-respect, your peace, and your authenticity. Letting go of relationships that do not honor your worth creates space for those that do. It allows you to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, who treat you with kindness and consideration. It is also important to examine your own relationship with self-respect. Often the way others treat us mirrors the way we treat ourselves. Do you honor your own boundaries? Do you speak to yourself with kindness and compassion? Do you prioritize your needs and advocate for your well-being? If you struggle with self-respect, you may unconsciously tolerate disrespect from others, believing it to be the best you can expect or deserve. Cultivating self-respect is a powerful act of self-love. It involves recognizing your inherent worth, setting boundaries that reflect that worth, and refusing to settle for anything less. Refusing to tolerate disrespect does not mean being harsh or unyielding. It means valuing yourself enough to demand kindness and consideration from those around you. It means having the strength to walk away from situations or relationships that do not align with your worth. It is not about punishing others, but about protecting yourself. Disrespect should never be seen as a reflection of your value, rather. It is a reflection of the other person's inability to honor and appreciate you. Life is too short to spend in environments where you are not respected. You were not created to endure mistreatment or to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You were created to stand tall, to shine brightly, and to demand the respect you deserve. This is not arrogance, it is self-awareness. It is the recognition that respect is not something you earn by compromising yourself, it is something you are entitled to by virtue of your humanity. The choice is always yours. You can choose to accept disrespect, hoping it will change, or you can choose to stand up for yourself, knowing that you deserve better. The latter choice may be harder, requiring strength and resilience, but it is the choice that honors your worth and preserves your integrity. By refusing to tolerate disrespect, you send a powerful message to yourself and to the world that you are worthy of love, kindness, and respect. And when you stand in that truth, you inspire others to treat you accordingly. Your true desires are the whispers of your soul, guiding you toward the life you are meant to live. Suppressing them is like silencing the voice of your own spirit, denying yourself the fulfillment and joy that come from pursuing what genuinely resonates with your being. Too often, people suppress their desires out of fear of judgment, rejection, failure, or even success. But in doing so, they deny their authenticity and abandon the path that leads to their highest potential. To suppress your desires is to shrink from life itself, and it is a choice that robs you of the richness and purpose you were meant to experience. Desires are not random or trivial, they arise from the depths of your consciousness, pointing you toward what will bring you growth, happiness, and self-realization. Yet, society often conditions us to prioritize external expectations over internal longings. You may have been taught to suppress your dreams to fit into a mold, to avoid making waves, or to gain approval from others. This conditioning leads many to live lives of quiet resignation, fulfilling roles that please others while feeling unfulfilled inside. But your desires are sacred, they are not there to be ignored or dismissed. They are your compass, directing you toward your true purpose. Suppressing your desires often stems from a fear of vulnerability. To express what you truly want is to reveal a part of your innermost self, which can feel intimidating. What if others don't understand or approve? What if you fail? These fears can lead you to bury your desires, convincing yourself that they are impractical or unimportant. But suppressing your desires does not make them disappear, it only creates inner conflict. Your soul knows what it wants, and when you deny it, you feel restless, unfulfilled, and disconnected from yourself. One of the most common reasons people suppress their desires is the belief that pursuing them is selfish. Women, in particular, are often conditioned to prioritize the needs of others over their own. You may feel that pursuing your dreams means neglecting your responsibilities or letting someone down. But this is a false narrative. Honoring your desires is not selfish, it is an act of self-love. When you align with what truly fulfills you, you become a better version of yourself, and this positively impacts everyone around you. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and suppressing your desires will eventually leave you depleted. Living in alignment with your true desires requires courage. It means being honest with yourself about what you want, even if it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. It means giving yourself permission to dream without limitations and to pursue those dreams without apology. This may involve making difficult decisions, such as walking away from relationships or situations that no longer serve you or stepping into the unknown. But the alternative, continuing to suppress your desires, is far more damaging. It keeps you stuck in a life that feels incomplete, constantly yearning for something more. When you suppress your true desires, you also suppress your creative power. Your desires are the spark that ignites your imagination and fuels your ability to create the life you want. By denying them, you block the flow of energy and inspiration that drives transformation. Imagine planting a seed and then refusing to water it because you are afraid it won't grow. The potential is there, but it cannot flourish without your belief and action. Your desires are like that seed; they need your attention and commitment to bloom. The journey of honoring your desires begins with self-awareness. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you. What lights you up? What dreams have you buried under layers of doubt and fear? Allow yourself to reconnect with those dreams, no matter how far away they may feel. Write them down, visualize them, and hold space for them in your heart. This process is not about figuring out all the answers or mapping out every step. It is about acknowledging and embracing your desires as valid and worthy. It is also essential to release the need for external validation. Your desires do not need to make sense to anyone else; they only need to resonate with you. The approval of others is fleeting and unreliable, but the fulfillment of living in alignment with your truth is enduring. Trust that the desires placed within you are there for a reason, and that the universe will support you in bringing them to fruition. As you begin to honor your true desires, you will encounter resistance both from within and from others. Your mind may try to convince you that you are not capable or deserving. Others may project their fears and limitations onto you, questioning your choices or discouraging you from taking risks. But this resistance is not a sign to give up. It is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Remember that your desires are uniquely yours, and no one else can fully understand their importance to you. Living in alignment with your desires does not mean you will never face challenges or setbacks. But it does mean that you will be living authentically, guided by your inner truth, rather than external expectations. This authenticity brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that cannot be achieved by suppressing your dreams. It allows you to create a life that feels meaningful and true to who you are. You were not born to live a life of compromise and suppression. You were born to shine, to create, and to experience the fullness of your potential. Your desires are not random whims; they are the roadmap to your purpose. Honor them, pursue them, and trust that by doing so, you will not only transform your own life but also inspire others to do the same. Giving is a beautiful expression of love, kindness, and connection, but it must be balanced with reciprocity to ensure that your efforts are honored and your energy is preserved. When you give endlessly without receiving in return, you create a dynamic that is not only unsustainable but also depletes your sense of self-worth. Giving without reciprocity is not an act of love; it is an act of self-neglect. It implies that your needs and boundaries are secondary, which invites imbalance and can foster resentment over time. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, must be founded on mutual respect and exchange. Without this, giving becomes a one-sided transaction that leaves you empty and undervalued. To give without expecting anything in return might sound noble, but it is often misunderstood. True giving does not mean sacrificing yourself for the benefit of others without regard for your own needs. It means sharing your energy, time, and resources in a way that feels balanced and fulfilling. Reciprocity is not about keeping score; it is about ensuring that the relationship is equitable. When you give and receive in balance, it creates a flow of energy that strengthens connections and fosters mutual growth. Many people give excessively out of a desire to feel needed or loved, believing that their worth is tied to their ability to provide for others. This mindset often stems from a fear of rejection or inadequacy. You may think, if I give enough, they will appreciate me, or if I sacrifice for them, they will love me. But this approach rarely leads to the desired outcome. Instead, it sets a precedent for others to take you for granted. When you consistently prioritize others' needs above your own, you teach them to do the same. Over time, this erodes your self-esteem and leaves you feeling unseen and unappreciated. Reciprocity is not about demanding equal exchanges in material terms. It is about the balance of effort, respect, and care. For example, if you consistently initiate communication, plan activities, or provide emotional support in a relationship while the other person contributes little to nothing, the imbalance becomes evident. While you may not expect an exact return on every action, there should be a sense of mutual effort and appreciation. Without this, the relationship can become draining and one-sided, where your giving is met with indifference or entitlement. Learning to give with intention and discernment is crucial. Before offering your time, energy, or resources, ask yourself why you are giving. Are you doing it out of genuine care and willingness, or are you giving out of obligation, guilt, or a desire for validation? Giving from a place of authenticity feels light and joyful, while giving from a place of obligation or fear feels heavy and burdensome. When you give with the hope of receiving love or approval, you place your worth in the hands of others, making it contingent on their responses. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where your happiness depends on external validation. Healthy giving involves setting boundaries and knowing when to say no. Boundaries are not walls, they are guidelines that protect your well-being and ensure that your giving remains sustainable. They allow you to share your energy without depleting yourself. Saying no does not make you selfish, it makes you self-aware. It ensures that you are not overextending yourself or giving more than you can afford emotionally, physically, or financially. It also communicates to others that your time and energy are valuable, which encourages them to treat you with respect. When you give without reciprocity, you may also deprive others of the opportunity to contribute. Relationships thrive when both parties feel involved and invested. By allowing others to give to you, you create a space for them to express their care and appreciation. Receiving graciously is just as important as giving generously. It acknowledges the other person's efforts and reinforces the balance within the relationship. When you resist receiving, you may unintentionally send the message that their contributions are unnecessary or unwelcome, which can hinder the relationship's growth. In some cases, people take advantage of those who give without limits. These individuals may see your generosity as an opportunity to exploit your kindness rather than as an invitation to reciprocate. This can be particularly damaging, as it not only depletes your resources but also erodes your trust in others. Recognizing these dynamics early on is essential to protect yourself. Pay attention to patterns in your relationships. Do they consistently show gratitude and reciprocate in their own way, or do they habitually take without giving back? Awareness of these patterns can help you make informed decisions about where and how to invest your energy. Giving in a way that honors reciprocity also means being honest with yourself and others about your expectations. While you may not expect something tangible in return, it is fair to expect respect, gratitude, and effort. Communicating your needs openly ensures that both parties understand and value each other's contributions. It also prevents misunderstandings and resentment, which often arise when unspoken expectations go unmet. Giving without reciprocity is unsustainable. It leaves you feeling drained, unappreciated, and disconnected from your own needs. By embracing reciprocity, you create relationships that are balanced, fulfilling, and supportive. You honor not only the needs of others, but also your own, fostering a dynamic that allows both parties to thrive. Remember, your worth is not determined by how much you give, but by the respect and care you cultivate for yourself and others. When you give with intention and receive with gratitude, you create a harmonious flow of energy that enriches both your life and the lives of those around you. Walking away is one of the most powerful actions you can take, yet it is often one of the most feared. The idea of leaving behind a relationship, a job, or a situation that no longer serves you can feel overwhelming. Fear creeps in, whispering doubts and uncertainties. What if I regret this? What if I can't find anything better? What if I end up alone? These fears are natural, but they are rooted in a misunderstanding of your power and worth. Walking away is not an act of defeat, it is an act of self-respect, courage, and alignment with what you truly deserve. When something in your life no longer supports your growth or happiness, walking away is often the wisest choice you can make. Fear of walking away often stems from a scarcity mindset, the belief that there is nothing else out there for you. This mindset convinces you that if you leave, you will lose everything, and nothing better will take its place. But this is a lie born from fear, not truth. The truth is that your life is abundant with opportunities, and by holding on to something that no longer serves you, you are blocking the space needed for something better to enter. Letting go is not about loss, it is about making room for the blessings that align with your highest good. Another source of fear is attachment. When you invest time, energy, and emotion into something, it becomes difficult to let go, even when it is harming you. You may hold on to a toxic relationship because you have history with the person. You may stay in a job that drains you because you've built a career there, but attachment should not outweigh your well-being. Your time and energy are precious, and staying in situations that deplete you is not an act of loyalty, it is an act of self-sacrifice. Walking away does not erase your investment, it honors the lessons you've learned and frees you to apply them in new and healthier ways. Walking away is not about giving up, it is about choosing yourself. It requires you to listen to your intuition and acknowledge when something no longer aligns with your values or needs. Too often, people ignore their inner voice out of fear of the unknown. But your intuition is your greatest guide, constantly nudging you toward what is right for you. Trusting that voice, even when it leads you into uncertainty, is an act of faith in yourself and the universe. It is a recognition that you deserve better and that better is possible. Some people fear walking away because they worry about how others will perceive them. They fear being judged as selfish, weak, or ungrateful. But the opinions of others are not your responsibility. You cannot live your life for the approval of others and expect to find happiness. Walking away is an act of self-empowerment, and those who truly care about you will understand and support your decision. Those who don't may reveal that they were more invested in their own needs than in your well-being. Your life is your own, and it is not up to anyone else to dictate how you should live it. Walking away also requires you to face the discomfort of change. Humans are creatures of habit, and even when a situation is unhealthy, it can feel safer to stay than to step into the unknown. But growth and transformation require change. You cannot cling to the familiar and expect to evolve. Walking away is a leap of faith, a declaration that you are willing to face uncertainty in order to align with your true self. It is a reminder that you are capable of creating the life you desire, even if the path is unclear at first. The process of walking away is not easy, but it is liberating. It teaches you to trust yourself, to prioritize your happiness, and to release what no longer serves you. Each time you walk away from something that isn't right for you, you strengthen your self-worth and reaffirm your belief in your ability to create a better future. You begin to see that walking away is not an ending, but a beginning, a doorway to new opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are in alignment with your growth. It is important to remember that walking away does not mean you failed. On the contrary, it means you succeeded in recognizing when something was no longer serving you and had the courage to let it go. Failure would be staying in a situation that stifles your potential, drains your energy, and diminishes your joy. Walking away is an act of triumph, a refusal to settle for less than you deserve. When you walk away, do so with grace. Let go of resentment, anger, or bitterness, for these emotions will only weigh you down. Instead, walk away with gratitude for the lessons learned and the strength gained. Every experience, even the painful ones, contributes to your growth and wisdom. Walking away does not erase the past, it honors it while freeing you to move forward. Walking away is an act of love for yourself and for the life you are creating. It is a statement that you value your happiness and well-being enough to leave behind what no longer serves you. It is a declaration that you trust yourself to navigate the unknown and to create a life that aligns with your worth. So do not fear walking away. Embrace it as a necessary step in your journey toward the life you deserve. You are not losing, you are choosing yourself, your growth, and your boundless potential. In conclusion, walking away from situations, relationships, or circumstances that no longer align with your growth and well-being is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. It is not an act of failure, but one of self-respect and strength. By choosing yourself, you are creating the space for greater opportunities and blessings to enter your life. Trust in your ability to recognize when something no longer serves you and have the courage to let go. Know that by walking away, you are affirming your worth and your capacity to move forward with grace, confidence, and purpose. Thank you for listening, and remember, you have the power to shape your life by making the choices that honor who you truly are. My friends, let us embark on a journey of discovery, a journey that reveals the most powerful way to respond to those who have caused you pain. In this moment, let us not dwell in anger, resentment, or the desire to retaliate. Instead, let us learn how to rise above, how to transcend the insult, and how to emerge victorious, not over them but within ourselves. The best revenge, my friends, is not found in retaliation, anger, or attempts to even the score. It is not about meeting their actions with equal force or sinking to their level in the hope of inflicting the same pain they gave you. No, the most profound and lasting revenge lies in rising above, in transcending the petty actions of others, and becoming so elevated in your own life that their attempts to harm you become insignificant, mere specks in the grand tapestry of your existence. To rise above is to choose mastery over reaction. When someone hurts you, they often aim to provoke a response. Their words or actions are designed to pull you into a cycle of conflict, where your energy is drained and your peace disrupted. But what happens when you refuse to engage? What happens when you rise above their reach? You become untouchable. Their power over you evaporates, and their actions lose meaning because they fail to achieve the effect they intended. So, rising above does not mean ignoring what happened or pretending it did not affect you. Instead, it is a conscious choice to prioritize your growth and well-being over temporary emotions like anger or vengeance. It requires an inner strength that says, I will not allow this to define me. I will not let their actions dictate the course of my life. In doing so, you reclaim your power. For as long as you dwell on their actions, you are giving them control. But the moment you focus on your ascent, you break free from their grasp. There is a profound wisdom in understanding that life is not about what happens to you, but how you respond to it. When someone wrongs you, they reveal more about themselves than they do about you. Their actions come from a place of pain, insecurity, or ignorance. To retaliate is to step into the same energy that caused their behavior in the first place. But to rise above is to transcend it entirely, to stand as a beacon of strength and dignity, untarnished by the negativity they tried to project onto you. Imagine this: someone throws mud at you, hoping to see you covered in filth. If you stand there and throw mud back, both of you end up dirty. But if you walk away, untouched and unbothered, they are left to deal with their own mess. Rising above is like walking away from the mud fight. It is the ultimate act of self-respect and wisdom. The beauty of rising above lies in its quiet power. It is not about proving anything to anyone. It is not about showing them you are better or stronger. It is about living in a way that their actions no longer matter. When you channel your energy into your own growth and success, you create a life so fulfilling and extraordinary that their attempts to hurt you fade into irrelevance. You become a testament to the fact that no one can diminish you unless you allow it. This path requires a deep understanding of yourself. It demands that you let go of the need for external validation or the desire to teach them a lesson. The truth is, life will handle that for you. People who act from malice or harm will eventually face the consequences of their actions, not because you intervened, but because the universe operates on the principle of balance. Your role is not to enforce justice, but to rise so high that their actions no longer reach you. When you rise above, you transform pain into purpose. You take the hurt they caused and use it as fuel to become better, stronger, and more resilient. Every step you take toward your dreams, every moment of joy you create for yourself, is a quiet but powerful statement: I am greater than what was done to me. This is not revenge in the traditional sense, it is transcendence. It is the kind of revenge that heals rather than destroys. Let them see you rise, not because you want to prove them wrong, but because rising is your nature. It is your destiny to grow, to evolve, and to shine. Their attempts to hurt you are but fleeting shadows in the radiant light of your ascent. They may look at you from afar, wondering how you managed to thrive despite their efforts to pull you down. And in that moment, they will realize that their actions had no power over you. This is the sweetest revenge, not in their suffering but in your joy, not in their downfall but in your rise. You show them, and the world, that nothing can keep you from fulfilling your potential. In choosing to rise above, you not only free yourself but also inspire others to do the same. You become a living example of strength, grace, and resilience. So rise, my friends. Rise above the pettiness, the hurt, and the pain. Rise so high that those who sought to harm you become mere spectators to your greatness. And as you rise, you will find that the best revenge is not revenge at all, it is the profound, unshakable peace that comes from knowing you have chosen to live a life of purpose, power, and grace. The journey of healing begins not by seeking change in the external world, but by turning inward and transforming yourself. When someone causes you pain, it is easy to fixate on their actions, to analyze their motives, or to plan your response. But this outward focus often leads to frustration and bitterness because it keeps you tethered to the very thing you wish to escape. True liberation comes when you redirect your attention inward and commit to inner transformation. This is where your greatest power lies. Inner transformation is not about denying the hurt you feel or pretending that nothing happened. It is about acknowledging your pain with honesty and compassion, and then choosing to rise above it by reshaping your inner world. The actions of others can only affect you to the extent that you allow them to shape your beliefs and self-perception. When you transform within, you change the way you perceive their actions, and in doing so, you free yourself from their hold. The first step in this transformation is understanding that external events are merely reflections of your inner state. Life mirrors your beliefs, fears, and expectations. When someone hurts you, it may feel like an attack from the outside, but their actions often highlight areas within you that need healing. Perhaps it touches an old wound, a hidden insecurity, or a belief that you are unworthy. By recognizing this, you shift from seeing yourself as a victim to seeing the situation as an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me about myself? What beliefs or patterns is it revealing? These questions are not about blaming yourself, but about taking responsibility for your inner state. When you identify the beliefs that have allowed this pain to take root, you can begin to release them. This process may feel uncomfortable because it requires honesty and vulnerability, but it is through this discomfort that true healing occurs. As you begin to transform within, you will notice a profound shift in your perspective. The actions of others will no longer carry the same weight because you are no longer looking to them for validation or fulfillment. Inner transformation teaches you that your worth is intrinsic and cannot be diminished by the opinions or actions of others. When you fully embrace this truth, you become immune to the negativity of those who seek to harm you. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in inner transformation. Forgiveness is not about condoning the behavior of others or forgetting what they did. It is about releasing the emotional burden that their actions have placed on you. Holding on to anger or resentment keeps you trapped in the past, replaying the hurt over and over in your mind. Forgiveness breaks this cycle, allowing you to reclaim your peace. It is a gift you give to yourself, not to the other person. Transforming within also means reclaiming your power. When you focus on the actions of others, you give them control over your emotions and your life. Inner transformation shifts that focus back to you. It reminds you that no one has the power to hurt you unless you give them that power. By nurturing your inner world, you build an unshakable foundation of self-worth, self-love, and self-respect. From this place of strength, you can face any challenge with grace and confidence. To cultivate inner transformation, It is essential to develop practices that support your growth. Meditation, journaling, and self-reflection are powerful tools for exploring your inner world and gaining clarity about the beliefs and patterns that no longer serve you. Visualization is another valuable practice. Envision yourself as the person you want to become: strong, peaceful, and unbothered by the negativity of others. Feel the emotions associated with this vision and embody them in your daily life. Gratitude is another key to inner transformation. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you shift your energy from lack to abundance. Even in the face of pain, there is always something to be grateful for: a lesson learned, a strength discovered, or a new perspective gained. Gratitude transforms your outlook and helps you see challenges as stepping stones to growth. As you commit to your inner transformation, you will find that the actions of those who hurt you no longer define you. Their power over you diminishes, not because they have changed, but because you have changed. You have risen above their negativity, and in doing so, you have freed yourself from their influence. The beauty of inner transformation is that it not only heals you but also elevates every aspect of your life. It empowers you to create a reality that reflects your highest self, one filled with peace, joy, and abundance. It also inspires those around you to embark on their own journey of transformation, creating a ripple effect of positivity and growth. Focusing on your inner transformation is the most profound response to those who hurt you. It is not about them, it is about you. It is about reclaiming your power, healing your heart, and stepping into the fullness of who you are. And as you transform within, you will discover that you no longer need revenge, because the life you have created for yourself is its own reward. In a world that often rewards noise, reaction, and haste, there lies a profound and transformative power in silence. It is not merely the absence of words, but a deliberate and conscious choice to hold your peace, to withhold your energy from situations that do not serve your growth, and to wield your silence as a tool of strength and wisdom. Mastering the art of silence is not about withdrawing from life, it is about engaging with life on your terms, with clarity and intention. Is often misunderstood as weakness, passivity, or avoidance. But true silence is an act of immense strength. It requires self-control to resist the urge to react, especially in moments of conflict or provocation. When someone seeks to hurt you with words or actions, their power lies in your response. If you retaliate, you validate their behavior, fueling the cycle of negativity. But when you remain silent, you take away their power. Your silence says, "I choose not to participate in this chaos." In doing so, you rise above the noise and preserve your peace. Mastering silence begins with self-awareness. It is about recognizing the times when speaking would bring no benefit, when words would only escalate tension or deplete your energy. Silence does not mean suppression of emotions, but the channeling of those emotions into something constructive. When you feel the urge to react, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, what purpose will my words serve in this moment? More often than not, you will find that silence carries more weight than any words you could speak. Silence also creates space for reflection. In the quiet, you can hear the whispers of your intuition, the inner voice that guides you toward wisdom and clarity. When you fill every moment with noise, whether through conversation, distractions, or reactive thoughts, you drown out this inner guidance. But in the stillness of silence, you connect with your true self. You gain perspective, allowing you to see situations for what they are rather than through the lens of heightened emotions. The art of silence extends beyond conflict. It is a way of living with intentionality. In a world where everyone is vying for attention, silence sets you apart. It is a mark of confidence and self-assurance, showing that you do not need to constantly explain, justify, or prove yourself to others. When you withhold unnecessary words, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. Your presence becomes more powerful because you speak only when your words have value. Can also be a tool for observation. When you refrain from speaking, you sharpen your ability to listen not just to others but to the subtle dynamics of a situation. You become attuned to the unspoken truths, the underlying emotions, and the motivations that words often conceal. This heightened awareness allows you to respond, not react, when the time is right. Your silence becomes a source of insight and strategy, enabling you to navigate life with wisdom and grace. There is a profound elegance in silence. It allows you to maintain your dignity in the face of provocation. When others try to pull you into their drama or provoke you with their negativity, your silence communicates that you will not lower yourself to their level. It is not about ignoring them, but about prioritizing your inner peace over temporary satisfaction. Silence is not an act of retreat, it is a stance of strength that says, I know my worth, and I will not waste it on this. Mastering the art of silence also teaches patience. It is a practice of restraint that allows you to wait for the right moment to act or speak. In silence, you cultivate the ability to sit with uncertainty and trust that clarity will come in time. You learn that not every situation requires an immediate response, and that sometimes the most powerful statement is no statement at all. Silence is not about cutting yourself off from the world. It is about engaging with it more intentionally. It is about recognizing that your words and energy are precious and should not be squandered on things that do not align with your highest self. When you master silence, you become a person of substance. Your presence alone speaks volumes because it is rooted in self-assurance and clarity. In silence, you also find healing. The noise of life can often drown out your inner voice, leaving you disconnected from yourself. But in the stillness of silence, you can confront your emotions, process your experiences, and release what no longer serves you. Silence is a sanctuary where you can recharge, reflect, and realign with your purpose. Mastering the art of silence is about reclaiming your power. It is about choosing when and how to engage with the world in a way that honors your energy and values. It is about understanding that not everything deserves your attention, and that sometimes the loudest statement you can make is your quiet, unwavering presence. In mastering silence, you master yourself, and there is no greater strength than that. Manifesting a better reality begins with a fundamental realization the outer world you experience is but a reflection of your inner world. It mirrors your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and the stories you tell yourself each day. When you grasp this truth, you reclaim your power as the creator of your life. You are not bound by the circumstances you see today. You have the ability to reshape your world by first transforming your inner state. Once you have a clear vision, the next step is belief. Belief is the foundation upon which manifestation is built. You cannot create a reality you do not believe is possible for you. Too often people let doubt and fear dilute their dreams. They say they want abundance but secretly believe they are unworthy. They desire love but carry the fear of rejection. These conflicting beliefs send mixed signals to the universe, delaying or even blocking the manifestation process. To align your beliefs with your desires, you must consciously replace limiting thoughts with empowering ones. Start by observing your internal dialogue. What are the recurring thoughts you have about yourself and your life? If they are rooted in scarcity, self-doubt, or fear, challenge them. Affirm to yourself, I am worthy of the life I desire, and repeat it until it becomes your truth. The more you cultivate empowering beliefs, the more you align with the frequency of your desired reality. Emotions play a crucial role in manifestation. Your emotions are the energy that fuels your vision and propels it into reality. The universe does not respond to mere words, it responds to the vibration of your feelings. If you want to manifest joy, you must feel joyful now. If you want abundance, feel abundant even before it appears in your bank account. This is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It is about intentionally cultivating emotions that match the reality you wish to create. Visualization is a powerful tool for embodying these emotions. Each day, take a few moments to close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself living your desired reality. See the details, hear the sounds, and most importantly, feel the emotions associated with that life. Visualize as if it is happening now, not in some distant future. When you consistently embody the feelings of your desired reality, you draw it closer to you. Another vital aspect of manifesting a better reality is gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, raising your vibration and aligning you with the energy of receiving. Each day, take time to appreciate the blessings in your life, no matter how small. Gratitude is a powerful affirmation to the universe that you are ready for more. It is a reminder that even as you strive for a better reality, there is beauty and goodness in the present moment. Remember that your current reality does not define you. It is merely a reflection of your past thoughts, beliefs, and actions. If you do not like what you see, do not despair. You are not bound by your past. You have the power to create a new future. Every moment is an opportunity to choose differently, to align with your highest self, and to manifest a life that reflects your truest desires. Manifesting a better reality is not an overnight process, but a continuous practice of aligning your inner world with your aspirations. It requires patience, persistence, and unwavering faith in your ability to create. As you commit to this journey, you will begin to see subtle shifts, opportunities appearing, relationships improving, and challenges dissolving. These are signs that your efforts are working. Trust the process, stay aligned with your vision, and watch as your better reality unfolds before your eyes. Forgiveness is one of the most profound acts of liberation you can ever grant yourself. It is not a gift you give to those who have wronged you, but a powerful release that sets your own spirit free. Often misunderstood as condoning or excusing the actions of others, true forgiveness transcends the external world. It is an inner journey, a choice to let go of the heavy burdens of resentment, anger, and pain that weigh down your soul. When someone hurts you, it is natural to feel anger and betrayal. These emotions are valid, and acknowledging them is an important part of the healing process. But holding on to them indefinitely only deepens your wounds. Resentment acts like a chain, binding you to the very person or situation you wish to escape. You may think that by refusing to forgive, you are holding the other person accountable, but in reality, you are keeping yourself trapped in a cycle of suffering. It is not about forgetting the wrong or pretending it did not happen. It is not about reconciling with someone who continues to harm you. It is about freeing your heart from the poison of bitterness. When you refuse to forgive, the person who hurt you continues to hold power over your thoughts, emotions, and even your well-being. By choosing forgiveness, you reclaim that power. You take control of your narrative and release the hold that the past has on you. Forgiveness begins with a decision. It is a conscious choice to let go of the story that keeps replaying in your mind, the story that says, "I was wronged, and I cannot move on until justice is served." This story may feel justified, but it also keeps you anchored to pain. Decide instead to tell a new story. I choose to heal. I choose peace over pain. I choose freedom over resentment. This decision does not mean that forgiveness happens instantly. It is a process, and like any journey, it requires patience and compassion for yourself. Start by acknowledging the hurt you feel and the impact it has had on you. Forgiveness does not require you to minimize your pain or pretend that it does not exist. Instead, it invites you to honor your emotions while recognizing that holding on to them is no longer serving you. As you move through this process, reflect on the humanity of the person who hurt you. This does not mean excusing their behavior, but understanding that they too are a flawed and imperfect being. Often people act out of their own pain, ignorance, or fear. By seeing their actions as a reflection of their struggles, rather than a statement of your worth, you can begin to detach from the personal sting of their behavior. Forgiveness is also an act of self-love. It is a way of saying to yourself, "I deserve peace. I deserve joy. I will not let this wound define me." When you forgive, you release the emotional baggage that weighs you down and create space for healing and growth. You open the door to new possibilities, allowing love, gratitude, and happiness to flow into your life once more. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You may carry guilt or shame over mistakes you have made or opportunities you feel you have missed. But just as you extend compassion to others, you must extend it to yourself. Forgive yourself for the times you fell short, for the choices you wish you had made differently. Understand that you were doing the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. Forgiveness of self is a powerful act of reclaiming your wholeness. It is not a one-time event. Old wounds may resurface, and feelings of anger or sadness may reappear. When this happens, remind yourself of your commitment to let go. Forgiveness is a practice, a daily decision to choose peace over pain. Each time you reaffirm this choice, you strengthen your capacity for compassion and resilience. You align yourself with the highest version of yourself. You step into a place of empowerment where the actions of others no longer dictate your emotional state. You realize that your peace and happiness are not contingent on external circumstances, but are yours to claim. Let forgiveness free you, and watch as the chains of resentment fall away, leaving you lighter, stronger, and ready to embrace the fullness of life. Reclaiming your power begins with turning your focus inward. When life presents challenges, betrayals, or disappointments, it's tempting to direct your energy outward toward those who hurt you, toward circumstances that feel unfair, or toward problems that seem insurmountable. But true empowerment is not found in controlling the external world, it lies in mastering your internal state. By shifting your focus to yourself, you reclaim the authority over your life that was always yours. It starts with recognizing where your energy has been going. Every time you dwell on what someone said or did, every moment you spend rehashing the past or worrying about the future, you are giving away a piece of your power. You cannot change what has already happened, and you cannot control the actions of others. But you can control how you respond, how you think, and where you direct your attention. This realization is the first step towards self-focus. When you focus on yourself, you stop seeking validation or resolution from the outside world. You understand that your worth is not determined by the opinions or actions of others. No one has the right to define you, and no external event has the power to diminish your value unless you allow it. By turning inward, you cultivate a deep sense of self-respect and self-reliance. You learn to trust yourself, to honor your needs, and to make choices that align with your values and aspirations. One of the most transformative aspects of self-focus is the ability to set boundaries. Boundaries are not about shutting others out, but about protecting your energy and prioritizing your well-being. When you reclaim your power, you no longer feel obligated to say yes to everything or to tolerate behavior that disrespects you. You recognize that your time, energy, and peace are precious resources, and you become intentional about how you spend them. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love, a way of saying I matter, and I deserve to be treated with respect. Focusing on yourself also means taking responsibility for your happiness. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that happiness depends on external circumstances, a promotion, a relationship, or an apology from someone who wronged you. But external sources of happiness are fleeting and unreliable. True happiness comes from within, from a sense of purpose, gratitude, and self-acceptance. By reclaiming your power, you take ownership of your emotional state. You stop waiting for others to make you happy, and instead create a life that brings you joy. As you reclaim your power, you will notice a shift in your perspective. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the creator of your reality. You understand that life is not about what happens to you, but about how you respond. This shift in mindset is incredibly liberating. It gives you the confidence to face challenges, the resilience to overcome setbacks, and the wisdom to learn from every experience. Reclaiming power through self-focus is not about isolation or selfishness, it is about alignment. When you are aligned with your true self, you radiate confidence, peace, and purpose. This not only benefits you but also positively impacts those around you. By focusing on yourself, you set an example of what it means to live authentically and intentionally. You are your greatest investment. By turning your focus inward, you reclaim your power and unlock the limitless potential within you. Life may still present challenges, but when you are grounded in self-focus, you face them with strength, grace, and clarity. This is how you create a life that is not only successful but deeply fulfilling. In the journey of reclaiming your power, the key lies in turning inward, focusing on your growth, and freeing yourself from the chains of resentment or external validation. Through silence, forgiveness, self-transformation, and an unwavering commitment to manifest a better reality, you step into your true strength. This path is not about changing others or seeking revenge. It's about elevating yourself to a state of peace, purpose, and empowerment. Thank you for taking the time to embark on this journey of empowerment and self-discovery. Remember, the power to transform your life has always been within you. Choose to rise, choose to heal, and choose to live as the best version of yourself. Beloved, love is not found in the fleeting joys of harmony. It is tested in the crucible of sacrifice. It is easy to say I love you when the sun shines and the path is smooth. But true love reveals itself when storms arise and we are asked to give without measure. Love is an idea often romanticized, reduced to fleeting moments of happiness and ease. But love, in its truest essence, is far more profound and enduring. Its strength, its authenticity, is not revealed in times of comfort or joy. Instead, the true measure of love emerges in moments of sacrifice, when one must give without guarantee of return, act without expectation, and endure without complaint. It is in these moments when love is tested that its depth becomes evident. Sacrifice is love's proving ground. It is the fire through which love is purified, stripped of selfish motives and shallow attachments. To sacrifice for someone you love is to declare that their well-being, their happiness, or their growth is worth more to you than your own immediate comfort or desires. Such an act requires not only courage, but also an unshakable commitment to the bond you share. It is here, in the quiet surrender of personal wants for the sake of another, that love transcends its superficial layers and becomes something eternal. It is often misunderstood as loss, as though giving up something precious diminishes you. But true sacrifice born of love is never about loss. It is about transformation. When you give out of love, you do not lose, you expand. You move beyond the confines of the self, touching something greater, something infinite. Sacrifice reveals the limitless nature of love, for in the act of giving, you connect to a divine source of abundance that replenishes and sustains. To love is to risk. Sacrifice asks us to step into the unknown, to let go of what is secure or familiar, trusting that the act itself will bring greater meaning. This trust is not always easy. Sacrifice challenges us to confront our fears of inadequacy, rejection, or betrayal. But it is precisely in facing these fears that love proves its strength. It says, even though I am afraid, even though I do not know what will come of this, I choose to give, because love demands it. We also find a reflection of our own worth. When you love someone enough to sacrifice for them, you are not diminishing yourself, you are affirming your capacity to connect, to nurture, and to grow. Sacrifice is not an act of weakness but of immense strength, for it takes great courage to put another's needs above your own. And in doing so, you align yourself with the highest expression of love, one that transcends the boundaries of self-interest. But let us also remember that sacrifice must come from a place of abundance, not emptiness. True love does not demand martyrdom or self-neglect. To measure love through sacrifice is not to say you must deplete yourself for others. Rather, it is to give from the overflow of a heart that is whole and fulfilled. Only then can sacrifice be an act of love, not obligation or resentment. When you love yourself enough to honor your own needs, you can give to others without losing yourself in the process. Love, when tested through sacrifice, reveals its divine nature. It shows us that we are not separate but deeply connected, bound by a force that transcends time and space. It is in these moments of giving that we touch eternity, experiencing a love that mirrors the Creator's infinite and unconditional outpouring. This is the true measure of love, not in the easy times, but in the hard ones, not in the gains, but in what we are willing to give. When you love, and when that love is tested, embrace the challenge. See it not as a trial to endure, but as an opportunity to deepen and expand. Each act of sacrifice, no matter how small, weaves a tapestry of connection and meaning that defines the very essence of love. And as you give, trust that love, in its infinite wisdom, will return to you in ways far greater than you can imagine. For in the end, love is never truly measured by what you receive, but by what you are willing to give, even when no one is watching. Sacrifice is often seen as a loss, a painful giving up of something valuable or cherished. Yet within the heart of sacrifice lies an extraordinary power the ability to catalyze growth, both for the one who sacrifices and for those who are touched by their actions. Sacrifice is not an end in itself, it is a gateway to transformation, a means through which individuals and relationships can evolve to new heights of understanding, strength, and connection. To sacrifice is to step out of the confines of self-centeredness. It is to declare that something greater love, purpose, or vision holds more significance than personal comfort or fleeting desires. In choosing to sacrifice, we break free from the narrow focus of immediate gratification and align ourselves with a deeper sense of meaning. This alignment often requires a shedding of old patterns, attachments, or fears, making room for the new and unexplored. Growth is inherently uncomfortable, and sacrifice is no different. When we give up what is familiar or secure, we are forced to confront the unknown. This confrontation can be daunting, as it challenges us to let go of control and place faith in the process of change. Yet it is precisely in this space of uncertainty that growth takes root. Sacrifice pushes us to expand our boundaries, to stretch beyond what we thought possible, and to discover strengths and capacities we never knew we possessed. Consider how sacrifice fosters resilience. Each time we willingly let go of something we value for a higher purpose, we strengthen our ability to endure and persevere. Sacrifice teaches us to focus not on the immediate discomfort, but on the larger picture. It shifts our perspective, helping us see that true fulfillment often requires temporary hardship. Through this process, we develop a fortitude that not only sustains us in moments of challenge, but also prepares us to face future trials with greater confidence and grace. Sacrifice also deepens our understanding of ourselves. When we sacrifice, we are confronted with our priorities and values. What are we willing to give up, and for whom or what? These questions compel us to examine the essence of who we are and what we stand for. In doing so, we gain clarity about our purpose and the principles that guide our lives. Sacrifice strips away superficial distractions, revealing the core of what truly matters. At the same time, sacrifice fosters connection. It is an act of love and empathy, a way of saying, I see you, and I value you enough to give of myself for your benefit. This selflessness creates bonds that are profound and enduring. Relationships are strengthened when individuals choose to put aside their own desires for the good of the other. Whether in families, friendships, or communities, sacrifice becomes the foundation upon which trust and mutual respect are built. Through the act of giving, we not only uplift others, but also create a shared experience of growth. It is important to recognize that sacrifice is not about self-neglect or martyrdom. True sacrifice comes from a place of abundance, not depletion. It is not about diminishing oneself for the sake of others, but about choosing to give from a heart that is full and aligned with purpose. When sacrifice is rooted in love and intention, it becomes a source of empowerment rather than a burden. It is not about losing oneself, but about finding a greater sense of self through the act of giving. Sacrifice also teaches us about impermanence and detachment. By letting go of what we hold dear, we learn that our worth and happiness are not tied to material possessions or external circumstances. Sacrifice reminds us that life is fluid, and growth often requires the shedding of the old to make way for the new. This process of release is not easy, but it is essential for transformation. Through sacrifice, we cultivate a mindset of adaptability and openness, qualities that are vital for personal and spiritual evolution. Sacrifice is a reflection of the divine. In giving, we mirror the Creator's infinite generosity, which sustains all of existence. Sacrifice aligns us with this higher principle, allowing us to transcend the limitations of the ego and connect with the boundless flow of love and abundance. In this way, sacrifice becomes a sacred act, a way of participating in the ongoing creation and renewal of life. As we walk the path of sacrifice, we are reminded that growth is not always linear or immediate. The rewards of sacrifice are not always visible in the moment, but they manifest over time in ways that are profound and enduring. Each act of sacrifice is a step on the journey toward becoming our highest selves, toward living a life that is rich in purpose, connection, and fulfillment. Sacrifice is not about what we lose, it is about what we gain. It is a gateway that leads us to greater love, deeper understanding, and a more expansive vision of what is possible. In choosing to sacrifice, we embrace the truth that growth requires us to let go of the lesser so that we may step into the greater. And in that choice we find not only ourselves but also the infinite potential of love and life. The experience of loss is one of the most profound and universal emotions in human life. It stirs feelings of grief, regret, and longing, making us believe that something precious has been taken away, leaving us diminished. Yet loss, when viewed from a higher perspective, is often not what it appears to be. What we perceive as loss is frequently an illusion, a misunderstanding born of attachment, fear, and the limitations of our current awareness. Within the concept of loss lies the potential for transformation, growth, and even deeper fulfillment. At the core of the illusion of loss is our attachment to form. We live in a world where we identify deeply with the physical, the tangible, and the familiar. We attach ourselves to people, possessions, relationships, and circumstances, believing they are the source of our happiness and security. When these attachments are disrupted, we feel an acute sense of loss, as though a part of us has been torn away. But this belief is rooted in the misconception that our sense of self is tied to external things. In truth, what we are cannot be lost, for it is infinite and unchanging. Consider this: every experience of loss is also an invitation to rediscover what is eternal within us. When something or someone we value is no longer present, we are forced to confront the temporary nature of all things. This realization can be painful, but it also opens the door to a deeper understanding. It reminds us that nothing in the material world is permanent, and clinging to it only creates suffering. Through this lens, loss is not an end, but a transition, a movement from one state of being to another. It is a lesson in detachment, teaching us to release what no longer serves us so that we can grow into something greater. Loss also challenges our perception of control. Much of our fear around loss stems from the illusion that we can hold on to things indefinitely, that we can prevent change or keep life exactly as it is. When we lose something, it feels as though the ground beneath us has shifted, leaving us unstable and uncertain. But this discomfort is an opportunity to recognize the futility of trying to control life's flow. The illusion of loss dissolves when we embrace the truth that life is dynamic, ever-changing, and inherently unpredictable. Rather than resisting this reality, we can learn to trust it, finding peace in the knowledge that every ending carries within it the seeds of a new beginning. In the midst of loss, we often fail to see the gifts it brings. Loss strips away the superficial, leaving us with the essence of what truly matters. It encourages introspection, asking us to reevaluate our priorities and values. What seemed important before may no longer hold the same weight, and what was overlooked may reveal itself as deeply meaningful. In this way, loss becomes a teacher, guiding us toward greater clarity and purpose. Loss often paves the way for transformation. What we perceive as loss is frequently a redirection, a nudge toward a path we might not have chosen otherwise. When a door closes, it may feel like a rejection or failure, but it is often an act of grace, removing something that no longer aligns with our highest good. The space left by loss is not empty, it is fertile ground for new possibilities to take root. In this way, what feels like an ending is, in truth, a beginning, a chance to reinvent, rebuild, and reimagine our lives. The illusion of loss is also tied to our linear perception of time. We see life as a sequence of moments, each passing irretrievably into the past. When we lose something, it feels as though it is gone forever, irretrievable and final. But this perspective ignores the timeless nature of reality. Love, connection, and meaning are not confined to physical presence or chronological time. They exist beyond the boundaries of what we can see or touch. What we have truly cherished is never lost, it remains a part of us, woven into the fabric of who we are. Even in the most profound losses, such as the passing of a loved one, the illusion persists. We grieve their absence, forgetting that the love and memories we shared are eternal. Their essence lives on, not just in our hearts, but in the very energy of existence. Loss, in this sense, is not an erasure, but a transformation, a shift from the physical to the spiritual, from form to formlessness. What is real and eternal can never be destroyed, it simply changes its expression. To move beyond the illusion of loss, we must cultivate a mindset of abundance and trust. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we can shift our attention to what remains and what lies ahead. Life is an endless cycle of giving and receiving, of ebb and flow. When we trust in this cycle, we begin to see loss not as a void but as part of a greater, harmonious rhythm. In letting go, we make room for new blessings to enter our lives, often in forms we could not have anticipated. The illusion of loss is a lesson in perspective. It challenges us to look beyond appearances and recognize the deeper truths that govern our existence. Loss is not a punishment or a failure, it is a natural part of life's unfolding. It invites us to grow, to evolve, and to connect with the eternal essence that lies beyond the fleeting and the temporary. When we embrace this truth, we see that what we thought we had lost was never truly gone, it was simply transformed, waiting for us to recognize it in a new and infinite form. Imagination and sacrifice are two seemingly unrelated concepts, yet they are deeply intertwined in the journey of transformation and fulfillment. Imagination is the divine faculty that enables us to create, visualize, and shape the reality we desire, while sacrifice is the act of releasing the old to make room for the new. Together, they form a harmonious cycle. Imagination inspires the vision, and sacrifice clears the path for that vision to manifest. Without the courage to sacrifice, imagination remains a dream. Without imagination, sacrifice lacks direction and purpose. The interplay between these forces reveals profound truths about growth, creation, and the unfolding of life's potential. Imagination is the birthplace of all change. It allows us to see beyond the constraints of our current circumstances and envision possibilities that have not yet materialized. It is through imagination that we create the blueprint for our desires, infusing life with purpose and intention. However, the act of imagining alone is not enough. For our visions to take form, we must be willing to let go of what no longer serves us. Sacrifice is the bridge that connects the world of imagination to the realm of reality. It is the price we pay to align our external lives with the internal vision we hold. Sacrifice requires us to confront our attachments, habits, and fears. It demands that we step out of our comfort zones and release the familiar, even when doing so feels uncertain or painful. This act of letting go is not a loss but a necessary part of creation. Just as a gardener must clear the weeds to plant new seeds, so must we relinquish what crowds our lives to make space for the manifestation of our desires. Sacrifice, when viewed through the lens of imagination, becomes not an act of deprivation, but one of preparation, a clearing of the ground for new growth. Imagination gives us the courage to make sacrifices, for it provides a vision of what lies on the other side of letting go. Without imagination, sacrifice might seem futile, a surrender without purpose or reward. But when guided by imagination, we see the necessity of sacrifice as part of a greater process. We recognize that by releasing what is no longer aligned with our aspirations, we are actively participating in the creation of something greater. Imagination transforms sacrifice from a painful obligation into a deliberate and empowered choice. Consider the sacrifices required for personal growth. To become the person we aspire to be, we must let go of limiting beliefs, unproductive habits, and relationships that no longer nurture us. These sacrifices can feel like losses, as they often involve severing ties with parts of ourselves that have provided comfort or identity. Yet through imagination, we can visualize the person we are becoming, a version of ourselves that is freer, stronger, and more aligned with our highest purpose. This vision gives meaning to the sacrifices we make, reminding us that every release is a step toward becoming more of who we truly are. In relationships, the interplay of imagination and sacrifice is equally profound. Love often calls for sacrifices of time, ego, or personal desires in service of a deeper connection. These sacrifices can be challenging, as they require us to prioritize the well-being of another over our immediate needs. But love is sustained and deepened by the imagination of a shared future, a vision of unity and partnership that makes the sacrifices worthwhile. Imagination allows us to see the potential of the bond we are nurturing, and sacrifice becomes the means by which that potential is realized. Sacrifice also plays a crucial role in the collective imagination. Throughout history, great societal changes have been fueled by individuals and communities willing to make sacrifices for a vision of a better world. Activists, innovators, and leaders have given up comfort, security, and even their lives to bring forth new realities. Their sacrifices were not in vain, but were driven by an unwavering belief in what could be. This dynamic continues today, as collective imagination inspires sacrifices that pave the way for progress and transformation. The relationship between imagination and sacrifice is not one-sided, it is reciprocal. While imagination inspires sacrifice, sacrifice also strengthens imagination. When we let go of the old, we create a vacuum that invites new ideas, possibilities, and insights to emerge. Sacrifice clears mental and emotional clutter, freeing us to imagine with greater clarity and creativity. It is in the act of releasing that we often discover new depths of imagination, as the very process of letting go expands our perception of what is possible. This cycle of imagination and sacrifice mirrors the natural rhythms of life. Just as seasons change and old leaves fall to nourish the earth, so must we continually release the old to make way for the new. Sacrifice is not a one-time act, but an ongoing practice, a willingness to embrace the impermanence of life and trust in the process of renewal. Imagination provides the vision that guides us through these cycles, ensuring that each sacrifice serves a higher purpose. Imagination and sacrifice teach us about the nature of abundance. While sacrifice might seem like a loss, it is, in truth, an act of faith in the infinite possibilities of creation. It is the willingness to believe that what we let go of will be replaced by something even greater, something that aligns more closely with our truest desires and aspirations. Imagination reassures us of this truth, showing us glimpses of the future we are creating through our sacrifices. Together, imagination and sacrifice remind us that life is not static, but a constant flow of becoming. To imagine is to dream of what could be, to sacrifice is to act in alignment with that dream. In their union lies the power to transform not only our individual lives, but the world around us, as we continually co-create a reality that reflects the boundless potential of the human spirit. Love, at its essence, is an act of faith. It is the willingness to trust, to give, and to open oneself to the unknown without guarantees. Love does not come with certainty, nor does it promise a smooth path free of pain or disappointment. Yet, despite these uncertainties, we choose to love because deep within we recognize its transformative power. Love requires faith, not only in others, but also in ourselves, in life, and in the unseen forces that shape our experiences. It is through this faith that love transcends mere emotion and becomes a profound force for connection and growth. To love is to step into vulnerability. It is to open our hearts, knowing there is a possibility of hurt. The very act of loving someone exposes us to the risk of rejection, loss, or betrayal. Yet we love anyway, because faith assures us that the rewards of connection outweigh the risks. Faith in love does not mean ignoring the potential for pain, rather. It is the belief that the journey of love, with all its challenges, is worth undertaking. It is a trust in the inherent goodness of love and its ability to enrich our lives. Faith in love also requires letting go of control. When we love, we cannot dictate how the other person will respond, nor can we predict how the relationship will evolve. Love thrives in the space of freedom, where both individuals are allowed to grow and express themselves authentically. This freedom, however, can be unsettling because it forces us to release our grip on outcomes. Faith bridges this gap, reminding us that love is not about possession or guarantees, but about presence, acceptance, and shared moments of connection. Love is an act of faith because it often demands patience and perseverance. In relationships, love is not always effortless. There are times of misunderstanding, frustration, and even conflict. During these moments, faith sustains love by encouraging us to see beyond the immediate challenges and remember the deeper bond that unites us. Faith allows us to trust that, with effort and commitment, love can weather storms and emerge stronger on the other side. It is this faith that transforms love from a fleeting feeling into a resilient and enduring force. Love also requires faith in oneself. To truly love another, we must first believe in our own worthiness to give and receive love. This self-belief is not always easy, as we often carry doubts, insecurities, and fears of rejection. Yet, love invites us to trust in our capacity to connect and to be vulnerable. It encourages us to see ourselves as whole and deserving, reminding us that we are enough just as we are. Faith in ourselves allows us to approach love with an open heart, unburdened by the need for constant validation or reassurance. Faith in love extends beyond individual relationships. It encompasses a broader trust in life itself. Love asks us to believe in the unseen, in the intangible bonds that connect us to others and to the world. It is a reminder that we are not separate but deeply interconnected, and that our acts of love ripple outward in ways we may never fully understand. This faith in the unseen nature of love encourages us to act with kindness, compassion, and generosity, even when we do not immediately see the impact of our actions. Love as an act of faith also teaches us about surrender. To love is to let go of ego, pride, and the need to always be right. It is to prioritize connection over winning, understanding over judgment, and unity over division. This surrender requires faith in the transformative power of love, that by letting go of self-centeredness, we create space for deeper intimacy and harmony. Love invites us to trust that in giving of ourselves, we do not lose but gain something far greater. Furthermore, love often calls us to embrace the unknown. Whether it is the love between partners, friends, or family members, every act of love involves stepping into a future that cannot be predicted. We do not know how the story will unfold, what challenges will arise, or how the relationship will evolve. Yet we choose to love, because faith assures us that the journey is worthwhile, regardless of the outcome. This faith allows us to cherish the present moment, to celebrate the joy of connection without being consumed by fear of what might come. Love as an act of faith reminds us of the eternal nature of love itself. Even when relationships end, whether through separation or loss, the love we have shared does not vanish. It becomes a part of us, shaping who we are and how we move forward. Faith in love assures us that it is never wasted. Every act of love contributes to the greater tapestry of our lives, enriching our souls and deepening our understanding of what it means to be human. To love is to believe in the goodness of others, in the resilience of the human heart, and in the boundless possibilities of connection. Love requires us to trust in something greater than ourselves, something that cannot be measured or proven but is felt deeply within. It is through this faith that love transcends fear and limitation, becoming a force that transforms not only our relationships but also our very existence. In choosing to love, we affirm our faith in life itself, embracing its uncertainties with open hearts and the unwavering belief that love, in all its forms, is the greatest gift we can give and receive. The depth of love is not revealed in moments of ease and comfort. It is tested in the crucible of challenges, sacrifices, and uncertainties. Love, in its truest form, is not just an emotion or fleeting feeling but a profound commitment that withstands the trials of life. These tests reveal the strength, resilience, and authenticity of love, stripping away superficial layers to uncover its enduring essence. To test the depth of love is to see how it responds when the path grows uncertain, the skies darken, and sacrifice is demanded. At the core of love's testing lies the willingness to endure discomfort for the sake of connection. Love, when genuine, does not retreat when faced with hardship. It steps forward, embracing challenges with courage and grace. In times of adversity, love shifts from being a passive experience to an active choice. It is no longer about what one receives, but about what one is willing to give. The depth of love is reflected in the sacrifices one is prepared to make, not out of obligation, but from a heartfelt desire to preserve and nurture the bond. Love's depth is revealed in its capacity for patience and perseverance. In a world that often seeks instant gratification, love asks for time. It requires patience during moments of misunderstanding, frustration, or conflict. It perseveres through periods of distance or disconnection, holding on to the belief that the bond is worth nurturing. This enduring quality of love demonstrates its strength, as it remains steadfast even when circumstances challenge its stability. The testing of love also involves navigating change. Life is inherently dynamic, and individuals within a relationship grow and evolve over time. These changes can strain even the strongest bonds, as they may challenge previously held expectations or dynamics. Yet, the depth of love is proven in its ability to adapt and embrace growth. Instead of resisting change, deep love finds ways to evolve alongside it, creating new pathways for connection and understanding. It does not cling to a fixed idea of what the relationship should be, but instead flows with the natural shifts of life. One of the most profound tests of love is forgiveness. To truly love is to recognize the humanity of the other person, their flaws, mistakes, and imperfections. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful actions, but about choosing to move forward without holding on to resentment. It is an act of grace that allows love to heal and grow stronger. Forgiveness requires humility and empathy, qualities that reflect the depth of one's commitment to the relationship. When love can withstand the pain of betrayal or disappointment and still choose reconciliation, it reveals its resilience and transformative power. Testing the depth of love also challenges the ego. Love calls for selflessness, asking individuals to look beyond their own needs and desires. This does not mean abandoning oneself, but finding a balance where both parties feel valued and supported. Love tests the ego by requiring acts of humility, such as admitting when one is wrong, apologizing sincerely, or putting the other person's happiness before one's pride. These moments of humility demonstrate a love that is not rooted in control or domination, but in mutual respect and care. Another significant aspect of love's testing is its response to loss and separation. Whether through physical distance, emotional disconnection, or the inevitable reality of mortality, love often faces the pain of absence. The depth of love is revealed in its ability to transcend these separations, holding on to the connection even when circumstances make it difficult. Love that endures loss is a testament to its profound nature, as it demonstrates that the bond is not contingent on external conditions, but exists as a constant within the heart. The testing of love is not about creating obstacles for the sake of validation, but about revealing its true nature. These tests are inherent to life itself, as no relationship or bond exists without challenges. The depth of love is not measured by its perfection, but by its ability to navigate imperfections with grace, compassion, and resilience. It is through these tests that love moves from being a fleeting emotion to a lasting commitment, grounded in mutual understanding and shared purpose. In every test, love has the opportunity to deepen, to grow stronger, and to reveal its truest form. It is not diminished by challenges, but refined, like gold in the fire. The depth of love is found not in its ease, but in its endurance, in its ability to rise above difficulties, to embrace sacrifice, and to remain steadfast through life's uncertainties. To love deeply is to accept these tests not as burdens, but as opportunities to connect more profoundly with oneself, with others, and with the very essence of life. Self-love and sacrifice may seem at odds, yet they exist in a delicate balance that defines the essence of a fulfilled life. At its core, self-love is about honoring one's own worth and recognizing the inherent value of one's existence. Sacrifice, on the other hand, is the act of giving up something valuable for a greater good or higher purpose. While the two concepts may appear contradictory, they are deeply interconnected, each enriching the other when understood correctly. Self-love provides the foundation from which sacrifice can emerge authentically, while sacrifice often serves as a profound expression of self-love in action. To love oneself is not to live selfishly or to prioritize personal desires at the expense of others. Instead, self-love means nurturing a sense of inner worth that allows one to act with integrity and intention. Without this grounding in self-love, sacrifice can become distorted, leading to resentment, exhaustion, or feelings of inadequacy. Sacrifice that arises from a place of self-neglect is often unsustainable and may result in emotional depletion. And true self-love ensures that sacrifices are made from a place of abundance rather than lack, allowing them to be meaningful and fulfilling rather than burdensome. Self-love and sacrifice are intricately linked in the context of personal growth. To truly love oneself is to embrace the ongoing journey of becoming, which often requires letting go of old patterns, habits, or attachments that no longer serve. This process of sacrifice, releasing what is familiar to make room for what is possible, is a testament to self-love in action. It is a recognition that growth sometimes requires discomfort, and that the act of surrendering is not a loss but an investment in one's future self. By willingly making these sacrifices, individuals honor their potential and affirm their commitment to living authentically. Self-love and sacrifice are also profoundly spiritual concepts, reflecting the interconnectedness of all life. To truly love oneself is to recognize one's place within a greater whole, understanding that individual well-being is intricately linked to the well-being of others. Sacrifice, when guided by self-love, becomes an expression of this interconnectedness, a way of contributing to the collective good without losing oneself in the process. Whether it is giving time to a cause, sharing resources with those in need, or offering support to a friend, these acts of sacrifice are grounded in the awareness that love and generosity flow most freely from a place of inner abundance. The relationship between self-love and sacrifice is one of reciprocity and balance. Self-love provides the strength and clarity needed to make sacrifices that are meaningful and aligned with one's purpose. Sacrifice, in turn, deepens self-love by affirming one's capacity to give generously and to act in service of something greater than oneself. Together, they create a dynamic interplay that enriches both individual and collective existence, reminding us that the path to fulfillment lies not in choosing between self and others, but in embracing the interconnectedness of both. Love, in its purest form, is a reflection of the divine. It transcends the limitations of the human experience, reaching beyond the boundaries of the material world to connect us with something higher, something greater than ourselves. When we experience love in its truest sense, we are not just witnessing an emotional connection with another person, we are touching the divine essence that flows through all of existence. This divine reflection of love reveals the interconnectedness of all beings, the unity of spirit, and the eternal truth that love is the force that binds the universe together. At its core, divine love is not bound by time or space. It is an eternal energy that exists beyond the constructs of human perception. While human love often depends on external circumstances, desires, or conditions, divine love operates on a different level. It is unconditional, unchanging, and all-encompassing. When we experience this type of love, we feel a profound connection to the universe, as if we are one with everything around us. It is in these moments that we realize that love is not something we simply give or receive, it is something that flows through us, something that we are a part of. Love as a divine reflection invites us to see the world with new eyes. It asks us to recognize the divine spark in everyone we meet, to see the soul behind the physical form. When we understand that love is not limited to personal relationships but extends to all beings, all things, we begin to experience life differently. We no longer view others as separate from us. We see them as reflections of the same divine energy that flows through us. This recognition fosters compassion, empathy, and a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all life. The divine reflection of love also teaches us about the nature of creation itself. Just as a reflection in a mirror is an image of the original object, love is a reflection of the divine source from which it originates. The universe itself, with all its beauty, complexity, and harmony, is an expression of this love. Everything in existence is a manifestation of the divine energy that seeks to express itself through love. Whether it is the beauty of a sunset, the bond between two people, or the quiet stillness of nature, love is present everywhere. It is the force that brings everything into being, sustains it, and ultimately returns it to its source. In this sense, love is the driving force behind all creation. It is not something we can control or manipulate. It is something that flows through us when we open ourselves to it. Divine love is a force of nature, much like gravity or light, that exists independently of our will, but can be experienced when we align ourselves with its flow. Just as we cannot force the sun to shine, we cannot force love to manifest. However, when we attune ourselves to the divine, when we open our hearts and minds, love flows effortlessly into our lives, transforming us in the process. This divine love is also a mirror for our own spiritual growth. When we experience love in its highest form, we are not just connecting with another person, but we are also connecting with the divine within ourselves. In loving another, we come to understand more deeply who we are, as we reflect the divine love that resides within us. This love teaches us that we are not separate from the divine, we are expressions of it, each of us a unique reflection of the same source. As we grow in our understanding of this divine love, we begin to see the divine in all aspects of life, from the simplest to the most complex, from the mundane to the extraordinary. Divine love also invites us to transcend the ego. The ego is the part of us that defines ourselves by our thoughts, our possessions, and our achievements. It often creates separation between us and others, convincing us that we are individual beings separate from the rest of the world. Divine love, however, calls us to let go of the ego and recognize the unity of all things. When we experience divine love, we see that we are not separate from others, but rather deeply connected to them. The boundaries between us dissolve, and we come to understand that we are all part of the same divine whole. This realization brings peace, as we no longer feel the need to compete, to prove ourselves, or to protect our sense of self. Instead, we can simply be, embracing the love that flows through us and through others. The divine reflection of love teaches us the power of surrender. In our daily lives, we often struggle to control the outcome of our actions, to force things to go a certain way. We may try to manipulate our circumstances or hold on to things that no longer serve us. However, divine love teaches us that true peace comes from surrender to the flow of life, surrender to the divine will. When we let go of our need to control, we make space for love to enter, for divine energy to guide us. Surrendering does not mean giving up, it means trusting in the divine plan, knowing that love is always at work, even in the most difficult moments. Love as a divine reflection also calls us to embody grace and forgiveness. When we understand that love is not personal but universal, we begin to forgive more easily. We recognize that those who hurt us are also expressions of the same divine energy, and through this understanding we find it easier to let go of grudges and to forgive. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, it is about releasing ourselves from the bondage of anger and resentment, allowing love to flow freely once again. Thank you for your time and attention. May you continue to embrace the divine reflection of love in your life, allowing it to guide and inspire you on your journey.